How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is April 8th. We got a fun, exciting show for you. Yuli's back in town. I'm back in town after a nice little trip up to Nashville. All sorts of stuff to discuss. Disc golf making headlines, not for what you may think. So we'll discuss all of that. MPO and FPO, both tournaments kind of come down to the wire. Both have very similar finishes. We'll discuss all of that. And then we have Gary and Mike with a new King of the Hills sort of betting game, Yuli, which I'm very excited about for the debut tonight. So we'll be seeing that. But before we get into it, Yuli, how's it going, brother?
It's going good. Came in yesterday, took a trip to the families for some family stuff this last weekend, and back home.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. This, I was lucky enough to get out. We were kind of talking about before the show started how bad the storms really were in Nashville, like all week. We got Yuli. They were so lucky that the tournament was like 50 miles or 30 miles south of Nashville, because there were so many times where you pull up the radar and this storm was just slamming through Nashville, and Antioch down here was just far enough away to not get hit, or else this tournament would definitely have not happened. So very, very lucky there. But let's jump into the first storyline of the day. So disc golf making headlines once again. And two things. First one being, there was I thought there was multiple protesters, because I think I saw some sort of post on social media about it. I think it was just one person throughout the entire week. I do think we have a photo too. They had a sign outside the entrance, basically as you're turning into the tournament. They had a sign that said, "PGA, keep men out of women's sports." There's also, I want to say, when we were leaving to head to the airport, we saw that there was like rope, like stakes and rope. So I think the Pro Tour might have like created like a protesting spot. I don't know if that's factual. You can kind of see it in the photo here if you're watching with us here on YouTube. There's that rope and stakes. It looks like that was like the designated spot for anyone that did want to protest, which I thought was kind of interesting in a little bit. But so there was protesters out there. Obviously there was last year, was it last year or 2 years ago that there was like violent
It was last
threats. Was it last year?
I think so, yeah.
So nothing like that this year. Thank God no one took it that way to make threats like that, which, regardless of where you sit on the fence here, we shouldn't be threatening people's lives or making, any sort of fear mongering, any of that stuff. Like that should just not be allowed. And so I'm happy that, hey, if you want to protest, by all means, you're allowed to protest. You can definitely do that. But the big story here was Abigail Wilson. Now, Abigail Wilson had a tee time, I believe, actually with Paige Pierce, who also is seen in the video. Mike, I don't know if we have the video. Sorry if I didn't send that over your way, but if you want to grab the video just so everyone can maybe see it if they haven't seen it, which I'd be shocked at this point in time if someone hasn't seen the video, because it was everywhere, Yuli. It was all over Twitter. I mean, crazy amounts of retweets, people posting that have no affiliation with disc golf. It made an Estonian news outlet. It was on the John Oliver show, who did a big segment on his show about transgender athletes. So this clip really was everywhere. This story really was everywhere. And basically, I guess we'll wait for the clip to show so everyone is on the same page, just in case someone didn't see the clip. But this was an FPO. It was the very first round. It was, I want to say, filmed by some sort of her caddy, someone that was affiliated with her in a way. She was not playing on the card with Natalie Ryan. She was playing on a separate card, but did basically made this post about how she doesn't see it being fair. And all right, here we go. Here's the video.
Make some noise for Abigail Wilson.
Gabby.
Females must be protected in our division. This is unfair. I refuse to play.
Woo! Yeah! Have a nice round, everyone.
We will. Definitely will.
Have a nice round.
So that was the clip there. I think someone yelled something as she was kind of walking out too, and saying like, enjoy your time on the couch or something. So obviously, tensions were a little bit high probably after that. But, you're obviously going to have some people make the claim, I really wish she wouldn't have played in the tournament. Someone else could have taken their spot to play in the tournament. I think that's kind of missing the point. The point is she was trying to make a statement, right? And I guess my question is like, what else is there really for the Disc Golf Pro Tour to do in this situation? If you remember last year, this nearly bankrupt the Disc Golf Pro Tour, trying to fight this in the courts. I think this is a continuing ongoing situation through 2025. And I think it's one of those things where there's like really not that much to be done here.
No, you're right. I think that the lawsuit goes in through 2025. So there isn't anything they can do. She can, obviously she can play, and she did play. And I don't know. I think the main thing that I took from it is I was happy that there was a peaceful protest.
Yep.
Like you said, from the year before, there were threats to the Pro Tour, which, there's no place for that. And so I commend peaceful protests, and that was really cool. And everybody has their ideas about this, and whatever side you're on, do it peacefully. And she did that, and it made waves and got a lot of exposure, which is what she was trying to do.
Yeah. Now, the question that some people had of, is this a good thing? Disc golf is getting seen by a whole lot of people. Would you just throw up, Mike? I got to make this bigger.
The right to protest.
Oh, right to protest. Yeah. From the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Yeah. So I would say this is probably as far as like disc golf goes. I don't really seeing this have like a massive impact, on the John Oliver thing. They brought up a whole bunch of other sports as well. Yeah. I don't think this is going to really negative impact disc golf. I don't think it's going to positively impact disc golf. For those that are wondering, like, where do we think how this is going to change disc golf? Like, oh my gosh, all these people are now seeing disc golf. Is disc golf going to blow up? Now, obviously that was not her intention at all with this either. But, I think until something gets set in stone and this is the way it is, this is going to be an issue every week.
Yep.
Every week that Natalie is playing in the Disc Golf Pro Tour, this is going to be an issue. It was unfortunate. I saw that the comments on the YouTube section were pulled down. So when FPO was playing, you couldn't have live chat on YouTube, which I think hurts the viewing experience. And that's just because people can't probably keep it civil on whatever side you are.
Right.
And the thing that I would say to kind of button this up and to put a bow on it, because we've obviously talked about this a lot, is like the thing that's like unfortunate from this situation is people are going to use Abigail and what she did for their own personal gain. Like that's the thing that sucks, is like ultimately at the end of the day, a lot of these people could care less about. What I mean by that is like the people that aren't involved in disc golf and are seeing this as like a political thing, right? And
I got you.
They're going to use it as a political thing, and they don't care anything about disc golf. They don't care that Natalie Ryan's playing. They don't care that Abigail isn't going to play because of Natalie. They don't care anything. They just see this and they're like, "Oh, I can weaponize this basically for my own personal political whatever. And that's,
Yeah,
I think, what you saw a lot on Twitter on both sides, right? Both sides, people were using this as like, oh my God, I can't believe this person did this. This is so wrong. And then the other people be like, oh my God, look at this. This is what's so wrong right now with transgenders playing. Both sides are going to use it on the political side. And that really, at the end of the day, it's kind of stinks. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else. I mean, we had to talk about it because it was the biggest story in disc golf this week. And if you missed it, I don't know what you were doing, but I don't know what to do, where to go from here, I guess.
No, I think the only place to go is you're right. I think people are going to, use it. And I think the main point for me is peaceful protest. Do it. And that's, I think that's the most important part moving forward, because it's not going to stop as long as we have this, like, that's what's going to happen.
It's not going to go away.
It's not going away. And so if it's not going to go away, I'd much rather have peaceful protests than violent threats. And so that's what I take from the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move over on to the match play. So something that, I don't know, maybe some people were super anticipating and some people weren't. I was kind of on the fence of this whole match play thing. I will say, after some of the press conference clips come out, like, I don't know if we need to do that in the future, Yuli, of get rid of this solo press conference where it's just one person sitting up there before tournaments getting asked questions, and maybe have like 2 or 3 pros up there at a time, because it does seem like players' personalities come out a little bit more when they're not solo. My first question is Missy Gannon the best at the press conferences? I think she stole the show. She was going up against Rebecca Cox. She put on the shirt, I love Cox. I think funny play on words here. And I think she stole the show. But what are your thoughts on that? Should we see press conferences with more pros up there versus just the solo interviews?
No, I think you do whatever you can to make it more interesting. And it's a lot more interesting when you have multiple people up there talking about whatever. It's interesting if it doesn't matter who you throw up there. If I'm sitting right next to Gannon Buhr, the #1 player in the world, and they're interviewing both of us, I mean, it'll be interesting to ask me questions like, what do I think, my chances are? And then people can kind of dive into that, because obviously I'm not going to be like, well, I'm going to just roll over and I'm going to get killed. I'm going to be confident and say what I mean, and that I'm there to play my best golf and win the tournament. And people will be able to look at that and be like, this guy's an idiot. You know what I mean? And that's sports in general. And then Gannon can say whatever he does. And then maybe there's a little back and forth, and that's fun for everybody. Much less like we saw the actual competitors who are playing against each other going back and forth, and you bring that out. So I do think that would be a good point, and maybe something they can do in the future without a doubt.
Yeah, I think we see that a lot with the skins matches, of where you get certain people together. They can kind of feel the energy off of one another, and maybe even just feel a little bit more comfortable that they're not up there by themselves. And I would like to see that more. I would like to see maybe some press conferences where it's almost UFC style, where they have like all the people, or like the top people, all up there, and they're getting fed questions. And then, depending on what someone says, you can then say, hey, what do you think about that? So we'll see. Maybe they take advice from that. I just think that it opened and showed a lot of people's personalities a lot more than in the past. So I like that a lot. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual match play, because I actually had a bad story that I did not like hearing, Yuli. And maybe someone from the Pro Tour watching, listening to this after the fact can kind of come on and explain exactly what went down. But I had someone come up to me and said, hey, I want to talk to you about something that went down, so maybe you can bring it up on the podcast. And they basically came into town, obviously to watch the tournament, but they also bought tickets to watch the match play event on Thursday. Now, obviously, the weather was not great, really, really bad. I think, Mike, if you want to throw that photo up of what the first hole looked like going into, I want to say, going into Thursday, it was unplayable. It really was. Like the whole course was just completely swampland. and no shot of actually being able to play. So leading up to that, though, there was a lot of uncertainty of what was going to happen. And his main issue, which I think we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, the communication sometimes from the Disc Golf Pro Tour is lacking. It's lacking to the players. It's lacking to the fans. It just isn't quite there. It seems like maybe someone that knows what's going on isn't telling people to then get it out to the mass public. Because basically what he told me is he showed up for the match play event, and when he showed up to the course, no one was there. And he was looking around for people saying like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Now, could there be an email that he missed or something like that since he was the only one that showed up? Potentially. Definitely potentially. I'm not sure. But I don't think there was a great communication to maybe some of the people that got the tickets that the event was going to happen. And then I'm hoping this is not the case. But what else he told me was there was going to be no refund. There was going to be no refund for the event that he paid, and also that they could maybe look to give him a discount on a future match play event. I'm hoping that isn't true, Yuli.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
Because Masters, a little bit of a different ball game than the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but the Masters Monday practice round yesterday got canceled because of weather. They refunded everyone that had tickets, and they also said, hey, we're going to give you first in line for next year's Monday practice round. So you basically have your spot. If you want to come next year to Monday, you got it. So I don't know. We'll see how this all pans out. And maybe the Disc Golf Pro Tour can give a little bit more detail. But to me, if they aren't refunding someone, like
they have to. That's not even. I mean, you go to a golf course and you get rained out. You get a rain check.
I'm hoping that wasn't the case.
I'm
hoping that wasn't the case, and maybe he missed an email. But I did want to bring that up because I do think that is an issue, though, for some players too. We've had that with some players with just the communication. I think that is something that definitely, if you're trying to become a professional league and be seen as such, I think the communication definitely has to be there. And I think sometimes they are just missing out on that. Now, was that the Disc Golf Pro Tour, the PGA, the Disc Golf Network?
How long did they know before that it wasn't going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I saw something on social media around noon that said it was being canceled.
Okay, so they did send something out on social media because that definitely needs to happen. I was a little preoccupied, so I wasn't on social media as much on this last week. But you got to be like, okay, canceled on social media, emails, your text list, or whatever.
Yeah. So
it's obvious.
But postponed to say the least. So match play. Hey, maybe every event, Yuli, gets postponed, and then you'll have it the way you want to have it, where it's just one massive bracket at the end of the year because every event got postponed. All right. So let's talk about the Music City Open. Just went down this past week. Back at Mill Ridge. This might be the course that has changed the most year after year.
Yeah, I did get to watch the final few holes, basically the whole back nine of the MPO.
Yeah.
And I also got to watch the whole back nine of the FPO. So I did get to see it, and I noticed that like starting holes were different, holes got changed. Yeah.
I just feel like it
looked like it played better.
I think so. I definitely think so. I mean, it's still, we can look at like Gannon's final round where he like had 2 pars going into hole 18 or something. It's still ridiculously easy course as far as scoring goes.
But the scoring spread was big with good players.
But that's only because of the weather.
Really? So people got hit early. Some people got the bad draw of the
weather. The weather was a huge factor. Okay. Also, the course, like I think Germ DNF'd because of the conditions. Colt Montgomery DNF'd because of the conditions. Like they had like kind of already some messed up knee problems, I think, and they were just like, this is not worth it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like I think if you remove the tornadoes, the wind, the sloppy conditions with footing, I think what you would have saw is similar to what we saw the final round, where players or beginning of the second round, when they restarted. Like you saw how Paul like finished the second round with just a insane amount of birdies.
Yeah.
That final day was playing so easy. And that's, to me, that's the big issue with disc golf is when you just have one course. I've said this many times. When you just have one course set up, these are where the baskets are, these are where the tees are, and you can't adjust for weather, you're going to have situations where if you make it super tough when it's like not windy, when it gets windy, all of a sudden the course is like, holy crap, this is almost like unplayable. And then if you make it super tough when it is windy, when there is no wind, then everyone shreds. So like that's where I think, to me, you got to have multiple tee pads, you got to have multiple baskets, and you got to play it based off of the conditions that you have for that day. So we actually see good scoring separation. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, Yuli, but do we really want to see someone shooting? You know, what would Gannon shoot his final round outside of his
13, I think.
Well, because he doubled the final hole, right?
I think he just bogeyed it, but yeah, it was a.
Did he bogey?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he bogeyed. Yeah, so he had 3 pars going into the final hole. You had Niklas with 5 pars on the day. Paul started the round 6 under. He had a kind of, we'll get into Paul's a little bit, but it's again, you just kind of look at these scorecards, Yuli, and it's like the top players are getting more birdies than pars and bogeys. And to me, it's like we got to find a way to get it to where, or the way I would like to see it, we got to find a way to get where pars are happening more often. And then that way it's birdies, bogeys, right? Versus right now, it's like birdies are happening a lot. And so then it's like par. And you're dropping 1 versus that 2-stroke swing that we see on good holes. But we'll get into that a little bit more. We'll get into that a little more. So the weather was a huge condition. I don't know, Mike, have you been able to throw up that photo of the rain that I threw in there, just so you can see? Because I gotta give the huge shout out to the tournament staff and the volunteers out there, because this Yuli was like, I want to say less than 24 hours before the tournament.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's a river going through the hole.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So amazing shout out to all the people, all the staff, everyone that was out there. I heard a story. I can't remember where I heard it, but some guy was up to like chest height in the water, and he found like the one thing that was like causing the blockade, and like was able to remove that. And then the water was able to just kind of, flood off and get off the course. But I mean, there was tons of people out there, the mulch they were laying down. Just a huge shout out to everyone. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of times we kind of forget to thank all the volunteers and stuff out there. Huge shout out to all the staff that did the work and put it all in there. Even I think Holland Hanley was mentioned about even going out and actually helping too. So some of the players were even going out there and helping. So huge shout out to all those people that made this tournament actually happen, because at a certain point in time, it didn't look like this was going to happen at all. Okay. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about the similarities and the contrast between, normally we go MPO and FPO, but today I kind of want to talk about both of them together, Yuli, because watching them, I think there was a lot of similarities down the stretch. You ended up having the one thing that kind of didn't exist in FPO really was like a player that had already finished their round that set a number, that you had with Gannon Buhr, right? Gannon Buhr birdies that final hole. Those guys have to go and chase him.
That's what you got to get.
They have to chase him. FPO didn't really have that. It was very, very clear kind of towards the end that it was going to be either Silva or Kristin. And with MPO, obviously, once Gannon was out of the picture after bogeying that final hole, it was obviously between Niklas and Paul. The first thing that comes to mind is, and again, you probably will know this better than me, Yuli, because you watched a lot more of Paul in person. But what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing like big mistakes down the stretch that's prohibiting him from winning some of these tournaments. And I don't know if that was existing if that always has existed where he hasn't been perfect down the stretch, but other people haven't been perfect. And so he's been able to win, or if this is a newer thing that he's having to work through. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, just from the eye test, I mean, I think there's a couple things that are different. Like now, there wasn't a lot of people who could just get a bunch in a row and put the pressure on. And so it was easier for him to gain a lead, hold the lead, and win the tournament. That's not going to be the case anymore. Another thing is he used to be able to do what people are now doing to him, to where you're getting a lot and you're putting the pressure on. And now all of a sudden somebody who hasn't won is in a position and the nerves get to you, and then you want to win so bad, and then it kind of gets away from you. I also think that his game isn't as buttoned up as it has been in the past. And I've noticed a few changes over the last couple years. And so in order to, and I will commend him on this, because I think in order for him to keep competing at this level, he has to change, because obviously whatever he's doing as of that point isn't working anymore, because you have the Gannons and the Rickies and the Barellas and the Anttilas. All these guys are so good to where, like you said, if it's a calm condition, one of those guys is going to get them all. And he's changed his putt. I mean, that's an obvious thing. Yeah. It doesn't even look anywhere similar to when he was completely dialed back in the day and winning all the tournaments. And I mean, that's what you always have to do. You always have to change and find something that's working better. And whatever he was doing, he lost. And so he's kind of rebuilding. That's what I'm seeing from the eye test. And guess what happens when you're rebuilding? It's tough down the stretch. You don't know how it's going to react under the pressure. I see this happening. And like you said, he's leaking strokes and making big mistakes down the stretch. But there's no way to play like safe. Like he's not chasing.
No, you can't play.
You can't play safe. So
not on these courses.
So with like I said before, if it was, let's say, him and Ricky, because that was the big battle back in the day, not a lot of people won. There was a few off tournaments where a couple other guys came in and got wins, but it was those two for the longest time. For example, the World Championships in Oregon, like he birdied 26 of the or he was 26 under the last 27 holes. Okay, so that's getting all the birdies in a row. Now here's the difference: the courses are different; they're harder, so you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like the players have gotten better to where on paper it looks like the courses are just as easy.
100%.
But it's actually the courses are way more difficult now than they used to be. But there's so many better players now that you're going to always have someone that make the courses look easy.
100%. So hear me out. When you change, because he could bring that game in to right now, that old game. And if we were playing shorter holes with not a lot of out of bounds and basic angles and all of that stuff, guess what? If the final however many holes are simple par 3, simple par 4s, and he has a 2-stroke lead, what do you think is going to happen? He's going to be able to make basic shots, basic putts, and all of those things under pressure. But nowadays, one mistake left, one mistake right, what happens? You're out of bounds. Yeah. And so it's a lot different. And that's that's my point with, from the eye test and watching these guys play from generation to generation. That's the only difference, is he has to find a way to get better. And I think he's trying to do that. And in doing that, it's a whole new skill that he's trying to learn. And that's tough when you have these guys who watched him play, who knew this is what I have to learn in order to beat him. This is what I have to learn in order to beat Ricky. I have to get them all. I have to have all the shots. I have to make all the putts. And I have to be able to string it together on these 13 under rounds. So now you have these guys who base their entire game and how they've learned to play the game to this point on that. And now he has to I don't want to say relearn, but it is kind of relearn how to score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that would be my only point, because that's what I've seen. Like I said, if you take the basic shots that we all used to throw and you put him in that situation down the stretch, he's not giving up a 2-stroke lead, because that's what he was the best at. You get what I mean?
No, yeah.
That's no longer the thing.
Where it all kind of went downhill was hole 15, right? We saw Niklas go backhand up the middle there. We saw a lot of people go backhand up the middle. I think forehand is the correct throw on that if you do have a big forehand, but he's throwing, in my opinion, again, he's a lot better than me. I can play a little couch quarterback here, though. He's throwing a much harder shot than the guys that can just go pure flat to hyzer the whole way with that forehand. Because if you're off a little bit, it's still going to fade and you're going to be all right. He's trying to throw like a flex forehand, like a high flex forehand, and just gets over on it too much. And so not only misses left, but misses long now. And now all of a sudden, his 2-shot lead that he had, that he could have pretty much almost sealed the deal, because like hole 16 was an absolute joke. They need to blow that hole up. That hole was an absolute joke. But you birdie that hole. Heck, you par that hole, you're going to have a 1-shot to potentially 2-shot lead with really only 2 holes left. And hole 18 was playing super tough with the wind that day. And by him, turning it over and going OB, he opens the door. Niklas, we've seen it before. If the door is slightly cracked at all for that guy, he is going to make a big play, or at least that's what has happened so far back-to-back weeks for him. He makes that huge putt. We actually see a little bit of emotion, which I'm actually kind of curious, because you remember we were talking about it earlier when he was on the podcast last, of like, hey, the one thing I would love to see from you, Niklas, is a little bit of emotion. You make these big putts and you kind of just like walk to the basket and pick it up. We saw a little let's go, kind of little hop step to the basket. Loved seeing that from him. And the dude's nasty, man. The dude is really, really good. You give him a little bit of space. I don't know why a lot of people are like so shocked to see this guy win back-to-back. People are being, wondering like, did you see this coming? The guy's been like a top 10 player almost the entire time he's been on tour. Like, he is insanely talented guy. And, he's now, all we're seeing now is like when he's putting himself in positions to win, he's closed on it twice this year. That's the only difference we're really seeing.
Well, we had him on after his win in Austin. And what did he say? He said, I haven't been able to show what I'm the best at in my game. And that is when I get on, he said, people in Finland know this about me. When I get on the lead card, I play well under pressure. And then getting the win, I think, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever, and then him saying that on here, and then he gets on the lead card.
Yeah, he just doesn't flinch.
I mean, it was cool. It was cool because I when I was watching it, I remember the interview, and I remember him being like, no, what I'm the best at is when I get it, I play my best with the crowd, and when I'm under pressure, like that's where I thrive. And I haven't been able to showcase that in the States yet.
Yeah, dude.
Well, now you have.
Dude's nasty. He's legit. I think, unfortunately for disc golf, I think sometimes with the lack of coverage, the lack of media, you have to win for people to be like, oh, this person's actually good at disc golf.
Yeah.
It was very clear for people that have played with him in person and have watched him play. The dude's very good. But I think now everyone is on board of he is another person you have to put in that list of, I think Ezra Robinson has now entered that. Obviously, Isaac is definitely entered into that category. AB, I think, entered into that category last season. We're seeing more and more of these guys now enter into the category of like, when these guys are playing well, they can win tournaments.
Yeah, and I think his style is a little different than a lot of people. I think the closest thing we got to it is Isaac, to where they're just making good shot after good shot after good shot and making putt after putt after putt. Nothing flashy.
Don't really ever see massive shanks or like big misses from him.
The difference between Niklas and Isaac, to me, is Isaac just never missed an angle. You know what I mean? Like, it was like his backhands, they had like lasers on them, it felt like. Out of the hand, it's like on this angle, and it never leaves the angle. With Niklas, what I'm impressed about is there's a little more flair to the game. There's a little more shot shaping. So, like, he's flipping the disc into this shot. You know what I mean? He's flexing something. He's got a little more flair than Isaac, as far as Isaac just being like, bam, here's my disc. It's on this angle. Makes it really simple. I think what Niklas is doing is even more impressive because it takes a little more feel. It takes a little more perfection. And he's a little dude.
Tiny, yeah.
Like, and he's able to kind of unassumingly throw these beautiful shots. And then his putt, I mean, the way that he does it is a little bit different than everybody. He has two kind of different styles.
That's where I think him and Isaac are similar, of where you never really see either one of them like struggle off the tee. Like, you never really see them have like a really bad throwing day. It's always the putting.
Yep.
It's whether or not the putting is there for them. And if the putting is there for them, watch out. And we're starting to see a little bit from Isaac now. Like, Isaac kind of had a slow start.
Yep.
Starting to see a little bit. You know, he was in the lead after the first round, so we're starting to see a little bit. I do want to recall too, like, Paul, I think, is a different player this season than he was last. Now, is that he's fully healthy this year, where last year he maybe had some nagging injuries going into the season? Was he more prepared coming into the season this year than he was last year? I'm not entirely sure, but where he kind of finished off the season last year, like on an uptick, right after that European swing, and then had some pretty good finishes towards the end of the season, we're still seeing that. You know, even though he hasn't been able to win, and he's put himself in position now twice to win, he's got 3 top 10s and he got 11th at Waco. So he almost has his first 4 events. He's almost top 10 at all 4. So he is now also, which is, I think, great for the sport, because there was a point in time, Yuli, where like Paul was not in the question. Like, no one was thinking like, is Paul going to win this week? I mean, obviously you had Paul fans thinking that, but the majority of us saw the writing on the wall and was like, he's just not very good right now. He has gotten back to that elite level, and
he's going to win again. And let me tell, I'm going to tell you this.
You put yourself in enough positions, you are going to win.
He's going to win again. And you don't take a 6-time world champion. And like I said, to me, and I could be wrong about this, but watching him play, it's like a new game's developing. And if I'm right about that, once the game is developed and then he can just go to those shots and repeat the shots and make the putts, I mean, I think that when you have a mind like his, of a winning mentality, you figure it out and you get better and you get better. And then once he wins again, I think he's going to win a bunch. But in this day and age, that's really tough to do. I hope I'm right, because disc golf's better when he's at his best, and people love watching him.
I think this first one is going to be the hardest, because he hasn't won a legit tournament in a while, right? Like, all the ones that he won were over in Europe last year, and it weren't full fields, didn't have a lot of the guys, right? And he knows that. He'll be the first to tell you that he wants to win one with everyone there. Yeah. And I think that is something that we are starting to see a little bit from him, is he plays so well. And then once it starts getting towards the end of the round, you can start seeing a little bit of a tightness, right? That's not knowing what your stroke feels like. That's what it is.
I
think that is part of it. That probably is all of it, because if you have that stroke and you're confident in that stroke, you don't let other thoughts come into your 100%. Head. He's 100% having other thoughts come into his head. Absolutely. Being like, if I win this tournament, the haters will stop talking. If I win this tournament,
it's going to be a tough wall to get over,
because you can just tell when that putt on 17, like, was not a great putt, and it was nowhere, was not a hard putt, and it was nowhere near the basket.
But as an analyst, I look at that putt. Okay, not a great putt, kind of awful, bad angle, too high, too much juice. But here's what I like about it. He sent that thing. The thing was 30 feet behind the basket. No. It wasn't a tentative putt.
No.
A lot of people, when they get in that position, the miss is going to be straight right or the miss is going to be low.
Yeah.
And that's somebody who has confidence. That's somebody with a winning mentality, and that's what I do like to see, because the next one's going to be the same and he might miss it high again, but he's giving it the juice.
So basically how it all worked out is like Niklas didn't blink towards the end. Paul had a chance to make it somewhat interesting, but that missed putt on 17 made it 18. 18 was just playing so tough, Yuli. With the wind and the way it was happening, it was just playing so tough. So he did the exact same thing that Gannon did, which was, I have to throw something that is going to flip up a little bit. It has to flip up a little bit to get to the basket because of how much headwind it is. And they just threw the wrong disc, or they might have thrown it on a little bit of a bad angle. But that shot is so much harder to accomplish with that headwind. And so, like, I know there might be some people saying like Gannon and him threw terrible shots on 18. No, they threw a very, very challenging shot that they weren't able to execute.
Away from him. Yeah.
They weren't able to execute it.
But it's the right shot.
That was the only shot to get to the bucket. It really
I will
was.
say this too about Niklas. Like, he shot 2 under par the first round. He's way out of it.
Yeah. In a way, that first round, though, that first round was the hardest round as far as weather goes.
How many people were in front of him?
Well, no, a lot of people. The dude fought back for sure. Might have gotten a little nice draw, being able to play a little bit some of the holes now in the windiest conditions. But that was one thing that I did hear from some of the players, where it was very windy, but the gusts were wild. And so some of those shots on that course, when you're playing a course like that, where there's a drastic difference in some of the holes as far as like how important the shot is versus other shots, if you get onto one of those, hey, this is actually an important shot, and you got a crazy wind gust coming at you, like you really kind of, had a bad draw there, right? If that makes sense. But yeah, no, he for sure got lucky. And again, we'll say it, you have to get lucky to win out here. He for sure got lucky that Ricky just forgot how to play. He for sure got lucky that Isaac didn't get super hot and didn't remain hot. He got lucky.
He had the whole field in front of him.
He got lucky that
you can't spot the whole. When's the last time somebody's had a comeback like this for the win?
I mean, it was insane. It was insane. He shot 65, 56, 54.
But here's my point.
Insane finish.
Somebody like him who can do this. I'm not saying like my point is this. Moving forward, this happened with Gannon last year. If the field doesn't keep you down and you get a win like this, it's only going to build confidence. They let him back in the tournament. He wins the tournament. He's going to be feeling for the rest of the season, it doesn't matter how far back I am, I can still win the tournament. And when you get back-to-back wins like this, that's a really dangerous recipe for the rest of the field. It just is.
I didn't even realize him. So him and Gannon shot 54 the final round. That's 4 shots better than the next guys, which was Evan Smith and Calvin both shooting 58. I didn't realize they were 4 shots better than everyone else. Jeez. Just really taking strokes on folks there. But yeah, I mean, all in all, very, very impressive stuff from Niklas. Very excited to kind of see what's for the future of him. It's awesome too. Like you said, he's getting the confidence now because now he's won different times. He's won when he was kind of going in and had a shot. And now he's won when it's like no one expected him to play well at this course, which we'll actually show in a little bit from Edwin's stats from some of his projections on where he thinks people are going to go.
You know what this means? I'm gonna be first to say it. He's winning a major this year. Watch.
Love to see that.
He's gotten second at so many of them, and
God.
now he's got the confidence.
All right, we got to talk. Well, let's finish up MPO and then we'll talk FPO because FPO had a little bit of some similarities towards MPO down the way. Obviously, got to give it up to Gannon Buhr. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "What the heck? Gannon hasn't won yet. What's going on?" The dude has insane finishes this year. Like he has a 12th, a 5th, a 3rd, and a 2nd. You know, And
Still the best player in the world, even though Niklas is winning everything.
Yeah, these last couple tournaments, a couple shots go his way. Niklas doesn't make a couple of these like 60, 70 footers. He has back-to-back wins, right? And no one's questioning it. So that just shows you how razor thin the margins are right now in the MPO field with all these guys. So he's starting to be fine as long as I did see him with a little knee brace. There was some questions on whether or not his knee is okay. Seemed like it was all right. He's just kind of precautionary right now. So hopefully that is all good.
He said an MCL sprain.
Yeah. So hopefully, he's got a couple weeks here. Hopefully he gets back to 100% and good to go. Shout out to Austin Turner. We've talked about this guy. This is a guy that literally has all the talent in the world. He is someone also, Yuli, that desperately needs – he kind of almost needs something to kind of go his way at the end to win. Because I think once he does win, maybe he kind of goes more like an Adam Hammis direction, right? Of where Adam's now won a couple events after that first one. Because you can just see he is also someone that, man, down the stretch, some of those shots, some of those putts, you're just like,
a little nervy for sure. But he's never, this is his best finish on the Pro Tour. You learn. You have to learn.
Yeah.
And if he's not out there practicing putting right now, I don't know what he's doing. Because if he makes all his putts,
he's got all the shots.
Because I watched most of the rounds. I got up early and I was watching most of the rounds, and he missed a lot of like 30 footers, but he made some good ones too. And here's the thing: that kid can throw out of the disc. Like, he is one of the best throwers, and he has wild power. And the way that the courses are designed at some of these tournaments, he has a big advantage with that power. And his sidearm is really good too. But as far as throwing the disc, he's up with the top elite throwers in the game.
Yeah, 76% inside of circle one is not going to get it done.
But it could get it done. That's how good he is with throwing it.
Yeah.
But not in a tournament.
A lot tougher.
What was he for this tournament?
We'll get Mike on that.
That would be interesting.
Or maybe Edwin.
I bet you it's probably like higher than 80%.
Probably, and that's probably what put him in contention. I will say though,
his finishes is like 9th, and then cash third. That's really good these days.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. There are going to be certain courses that completely give him an advantage over the field because of his power backhand lefty. But there's also going to be some courses that are going to be really tough because we know that throwing like a flip up forehand is drastically harder than trying to throw a flip up backhand. So,
and he's not just throwing like good power; he's throwing accurate, powerful lines.
Yeah, 76.92 for this event inside of Circle 1X.
There you go.
So,
if we can get that to like 80, 83.
Yeah, that's a couple strokes right there, easily. We already talked about Paul finishing in 4th. Very weird finish with those two guys though, because both of them missing kind of shorties on that final hole. That then gives Gannon a tie for 2nd. So a couple $1,000 lost. Actually, probably $1,000 lost there at the end for Austin's putt.
Plus bonus and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure. Andrew Marweed with a nice finish there. Him and Isaac both tying in the top 5. So
Marweed having a great season.
Very, very solid.
I think he has 2 top 5s now.
Which is very sneaky. Very surprising for Marweed too, though, because he normally like comes on later in the season when we get into the woods. So watch out for this guy, because if he's starting this way, watch out. Adam and Ezra both having good finish, or Matty O too, Evan Smith, all these guys finishing the top 10. Some really nice finishes for these guys. Ezra Aderhold with, I think, his best finish of the year, finishing at 15 under, top 10 for him. Calvin's another guy. Man, did he have a tough start. He started off with a 68 the first day, went 61, 58. So was able to battle back each day.
So many guys right now.
Getting into the top 15. Let's see what else. Casey White had a nice tournament here, finishing in 13th. Chris Dickerson, kind of lacking for me. This is a tournament, Tennessee, also a tournament he's won in the past, a tournament that I want to say he hasn't finished outside the top 10 in ever. So he had a great start, shot 61 on the hardest day, and then followed that up with a 64-63. So just not enough to really get it up there, unfortunately. What else we got? Any other shout outs? Ricky, he probably had the biggest collapse. Not really quite sure. That was the biggest flip for the finishing of the second round. Like a lot of the other guys got out there and played really well to finish. He did not.
He's having like a wrist injury right now.
Okay. And maybe
he can't grip the disc properly, and he has like a weak grip.
And maybe the stoppage in between rounds, having to wake up early and go out there early didn't help. Because he did not look like the same guy. He shot 59 the first round, 63 the second, 67 the final round. So definitely not exactly where you want to be. Simon Lizotte, back-to-back winner out here, was not going to complete the three-peat this week. Just didn't have it, Yuli. Didn't have it. Finishing in 28th. Gavin Phillips, man, this is another guy that you got to kind of keep your eye out. He's on lead card. He shot really well the first two rounds, 60-62 on lead card. He ends up shooting 15 shots off of Niklas the final round. He shoots 69. Niklas shoots 54.
Yeah.
So just someone that was...
That's going to happen when somebody drops 13 birdies in your eyeball.
Yeah, someone that was, but I have played with him. The guy's got a really solid game. Really, really solid game. Let's see. Let's talk about a few people that missed the cut that was a little surprising. Nico LaCastro missing the cut. Albert Tom missing the cut here. Corey Ellis. Double G.
Was the cut? The cut wasn't supposed to happen. It was like it
was a
last minute deal.
Yeah, it's again one of those things of where it's like if we started these rounds and played the right way about splitting the tee times, having a morning round, having an afternoon, having people go off on 10, people go off on 1, they wouldn't have to do this. But they basically just say, hey, by the way, we're actually having a cut. So unfortunate there. But yeah, some players on here, very surprising. Just with these conditions, you never know. Yeah. Robert Bird shooting 4 under or 4 over. Ben Callaway 4 over.
Yeah, Ben coming off a big win over there at Jonesboro too.
You got Cole Redolin shooting 1 over, missing the cut. So yeah, just with the conditions, some people are going to thrive, some people aren't. All right.
And it depends on your tee time. You could get a bad one.
You can get bad into the draw. All right, let's talk FPO because this was a wild finish. I would love to say that it was like a back and forth battle all the way down to the end, but that just isn't the truth. That's not what happened. Kristin and Silva were battling back and forth for the majority of the round. It was very exciting to watch, both throwing really good shots. I will be the first to say Silva has gained distance. I was able to go out and watch her quite a bit, and she is definitely throwing the disc a lot farther than she was. It almost looks like she kind of gained a little muscle. She doesn't look nearly as small as she used to. So I don't know if she did some stuff in the off season, but she's definitely throwing the disc a lot farther, which I think is going to pay dividends for her. But man, did she get the jinx from the live commentary where they just kept bringing up GMC, and how she threw that last shot OB on 18. Kristin was able to go into a playoff and then, end up ultimately winning it because, wow, it kind of finished out very similar to that, Yuli. It really did. And the one thing that, the contrast between Kristin and Paul here a little bit. Kristin is still in that mode where she just thinks she can win everything. Even though she literally thought, like, when she doubled, I think it was on hole 11, she made a bad double bogey on hole 11. In her head right then, she literally, I think she said in one of her interviews, she said, like, she thought the tournament was over, but she's like, everyone's still out here watching. Like, I got to finish. So, like, at that point in time, she, like, which is really weird to hear from a champion. Weird. that she just like counted herself out. But and quite frankly, Yuli, she should count herself out if the FPO field was at the level that she's at, of where she's like, I just gave up strokes. I'm not going to get those back. It's impossible. But the FPO field is not where she is at. We have seen it time and time again, where down the stretch, it really turns into who is it going to make a mistake versus who is going to make a big play. And this kind of was a mixture of the two, because you had Silva making mistakes down the stretch, and then Kristin making that huge putt on 17, which is uphill, windy, very challenging, and making it look like nothing. And the one thing I'll say, Silva needs to get a forehand, Yuli.
Yes.
This is where it is sometimes tough to watch FPO, because they do throw incredible shots. They really do. Silva on hole 15, throwing that shot down the hallway there, that is such a hard shot for people. And she made it look easy. She made putts look easy. But then you get to like the easy stuff, and we see the stark contrast between the two, because Niklas was in those same woods. Niklas actually had to throw through a gap. Niklas had to like throw through a gap and get out to position to be able to get up and down. She just had to throw into a wide open area, and she throws it into the 1 4-foot spot that you can't throw it in, man. Like anywhere but that 1-4 spot. And that just kind of shows you, though, you gotta have a forehand. You gotta have a forehand, and you can't, like, late in the round there, you can't just like have a brain fart. It almost seemed like she just had a brain fart, where she was like, oh, I can just throw us wherever, and just throws it in the one spot she can't get up and down.
She threw like a hook sidearm. It hooked onto her finger, and then went. It looked like she was actually aiming to the right. And if you watch it closely, it like goes off her finger straight into the woods.
Yeah. It was tough to watch. She's still. I mean, I do feel bad for her too, because on 18, that shot, I've said it again, and like I was watching, no FPO player was getting close to the basket, Yuli. No one was.
She got hosed, dude.
Everyone.
So Kristin throws her shot, skips off the rock,
power
slides it up. She throws very similar shot, gonna be parked.
Hits the one tree.
Gonna be parked.
Why is that tree there?
And then she did make a good putt to push it to a playoff. I thought after she kind of, went for the winning putt, had to get an extra juice, hits the branches.
I thought she was going to miss that.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to miss that, and it was going to be like devastating.
That's a good putt.
Yeah.
But I mean, another one that just needs to get it done. And then Silva is the one to challenge Kristin.
She might be the real deal now.
It's official. I mean, she's the one, because I think she has as far as comparison, I think she has a lot of similarities to Niklas, to where she throws a lot of good shots in a row over and over and over, and makes a lot of good putts. And over the course of a long tournament, it's going to be hard for Kristin to pull away from people like that. The only problem is Silva sometimes has really bad rounds, like really bad ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Kristin, she has bad rounds every once in a while, but it seems like her bad rounds are still pretty dang good
in comparison.
Yes.
Yeah. I like Silva. I like watching her play style. I think it's a really, really fun. I like the way that she throws her putt. Also, I said this, I want to say a couple years, it might have been 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I saw her putting on the putting green, and I said, hey, this is going to be somewhat, because in FPO, that's all you have to do right now to be really competitive in FPO. You just have to be a good putter.
Yeah.
And
that's what Missy does. She doesn't throw it very far.
She's so good. Yeah.
Missy makes a lot of good putts.
Yeah. So she's going to be fun to watch. And like, there's not much to say about Kristin at this point in time. We've seen it time and time again. Just a fascinating that she thought she had lost it, when in fact that it was not over. So I thought that was really the only thing that I thought was interesting from her interview, was saying that she thought it was over, and she ended up.
I feel like she said that before in interviews. Like she's like, well, it was over, and then all of a sudden I was back in.
Yeah, and I maybe she just thinks that way, so that way she doesn't like assume that the players ahead of her are gonna like hand it to her. But yeah, tough to watch for Silva. Now I will ask you this. We need to see more emotion out of these people. And I don't know if that's going to come with the crowds, Yuli, because I get it. Like, if you got like 30 people watching you and you do something pretty incredible, it's a lot harder to get jacked up than if you have an entire stadium sold out. But man, it just seems like a lot of these top players, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a disc golf thing where they're taught that to be like, don't get too excited. Don't get too sad. Like, don't get too frustrated. Like, just stay right here.
I think it might be a European thing.
No, but we see it from the Americans too.
Like who?
AB shows no emotion.
Yeah, but you got other people who like, especially FPO field. I feel like Kat Mertz shows a lot of emotion. Missy Gannon shows a lot of emotion. Paige Pierce, when she was playing really good, showed a lot of emotion.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of down. I don't know.
I could be wrong. I could be in the minority. It just seems like there's a lot of players when they play. Watching their game is fascinating, and it's awesome to watch them throw. Their like personality on the course sucks. Like, it's just so boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
I might be the only one. Maybe
I mean, you point out AB, but who else?
Let me just go down the list. Gannon, very boring when he plays.
No, he's fist pumping and clapping all the time.
Very rarely at the end.
No, he's little fist pumps every single time he makes a putt. Watch.
Niklas is very, very
right
even keel.
I have to push back on
Austin Turner was extremely even keel during the rounds. Marweed.
I think I remember seeing Austin literally doing fire gun after a drive.
Marweed
to his caddy.
I'm not saying, again, yes. Will they show signs like here and there?
Like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, who's a player that you like to watch with emotion? Then
I'm just saying towards.
No, who? Give an example.
There's not that many. There's really not that many. That's the thing.
No, so what do you want to see?
I think I just want to see Ricky might be the best as far as Matty O's up there too. Matty O's not bad. I could be completely wrong here. It's just when you're watching, we just got done watching March Madness. Shout out to my Gators, go Gators, national champions. Only school to have 3 college football national championships and 3 college basketball national championships. Shout out. You're watching that game and it's coming down the wire. And these guys are making shots and going nuts and getting hyped and all that. And I get it. You got a full arena, full stadium and all that. That definitely helps. And I get it. Basketball is not the same as disc golf. I understand that. That's not my argument. My argument here is just when it adds to watching it when you see the players getting super into it. And both the MPO and the FPO, both of them like were coming down to the wire, and you just have a lot of people that are just like
okay, so
I
don't think it's even close. So let me explain sports.
Am I way off your chat? Am I way off?
I think you're off, and here's how I'll break it down. In basketball, high action, boom, boom, boom. You have time as well from one spot, and then you're engaged quickly on defense on the other. So if you make a jam, you're getting people pumped up. You also have time to then get back to do a completely different skill, right? And so in golf, you are not playing against anybody but the course and yourself. Emotions can ruin you. Okay? If you get too high, that can hurt. If you get too low, that can hurt. You know why? Because you have so much time in between. You have so much time in between before you make your first shot and your next one. In other sports, you don't have a lot of time. Like in baseball, if you hit a home run, you can flip the bat, do whatever. You have a ton of time. That's fine. You have time to then go back to the thing, calm down, do your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Basketball, you can do that, and then you're engaged right away. So the emotions can stay high. You can use that energy to then play defense, impact the team, and do all those things. In golf in general, look at traditional golf. How many people are like crazy in your face? Never, until you have time to walk to the next tee. If you make a putt, you make a chip in, you can have a little emotion. You have time to then relax before you make your next shot. But you don't see people really going all crazy for a 7-iron that goes. I'm
not talking about crazy.
No, I'm okay. So I
this is what I think we're missing
to get excited even a little bit going into the next one, because you have to be so mentally focused. What we are doing,
you have to flip the switch. Yeah, of course.
What we are doing is take so much mental fortitude and patience, timing, fine motor skills. It's like, imagine if somebody was shooting a free throw, made the free throw, and looked over and was like shooter guns at the next guy before his next free throw. That would be kind of crazy.
Before his next free throw would be wild.
Because he's got to. But you do see them on the next one make it okay. Yeah, but then you're right back on defense. Yeah. So that would be my only point to like compare. I don't think you have a lot of you. You can't waste that much energy. And we talk about, or we hear these guys talk about it all the time. Niklas, why aren't you getting more excited? I don't want to get too high and I don't want to get too low.
Okay.
I want this perfect spot.
Two things. First one, I think because I agree with you. Golf, we got to compare to golf because they're the very similar sports and timing, right? We don't have a club twirl.
We do.
No, we don't.
This is what it is. You throw your shot, you walk away.
Yeah.
You don't watch it. That's your club twirl.
Yeah, but a lot of times you don't even get to see that. And maybe that's the other thing is like people are throwing their shots and we don't really get to see maybe that's what it is. We're not even actually getting to see, because like I agree. Some people have said like Tiger Woods didn't show a lot of emotion, which I would disagree actually a little bit. Tiger Woods did show a lot of emotion
in a lot
certain,
of club twirls, a lot of walking after the ball after he hit.
Correct, in certain areas, but we also got to see like his face, and maybe that's what we're missing a little bit. Is like we don't get to actually see a lot. We see the frisbee land, and then it cuts to the player after, and maybe it's a little bit too late. Like with golf, Tiger didn't have to go like double fist pump or salute or like do anything crazy like that. But you could cut to him and he would just like, he would have that look and you'd just be like, oh my God, he's locked in, right? Like that, to me, it almost seems like a lot of players, don't take this negatively if you are listening to this and you're a pro. It seems like they're deadpan. It seems like they're not. And I don't know, sometimes too, you know what it seems like, Yuli? Sometimes it seems like they're too cool. Like they seem like they're too cool to celebrate. They're too cool to show emotion. Because I'm with you. I understand. You throw a terrible shot. You don't want to go up to your next shot and like, oh, come on, and then try to throw your next shot. I get that.
Sometimes you should, though. I'll tell you this story real quick moving forward. I think it's important for people to do that once in a while. I was playing with Steve Brinster at the United States Disc Golf Championship. And we're playing, and he's on the tee, and he missed the last couple holes, and we're in contention. Like, this is an important moment. This dude's sitting there, breathing, getting through his routine. Then all of a sudden just smacks himself with the disc. And he goes, I forgot what he said, but it was like, it might have been a naughty word in there, but he was like, come on, let's go. Like pop out of it. That dude went on a crazy tear after that. Yeah. Like he brought himself out of it. So there are, and to us, like, that's not, some people like be a good sport, blah, 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 blah. This is him in his world doing something as an athlete to pull himself out of this negative place. And and it takes sometimes you talking.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
You don't want to bring that into your next shot, though,
100%,
and be like, I'm going to
100%.
throw this as hard
see
as
the
I
difference?
can.
He was using it to
Correct.
be like, no, it's like enough's enough with this.
Mhm.
I'm over this. You know what I mean? It wasn't an emotion being like, oh my gosh, I'm so terrible. Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Kick your thing.
And it's way easier to do that in an athletic sport where you're like, you know what? I am going to run so freaking hard this next play that whoever guards me is going to like wish they didn't have to play this point. Like, there's a way to where you're like, I'm going to give
100%.
so much energy. And in disc golf, it's a lot harder because you can't say like, oh, on this next shot, I'm going to give it so much more energy. Like, that normally is going to bode bad. So that I'm with you where you have to snap out of it. And we see some players do that, right? Some players can snap back and get locked in and focused, and some players can't. I guess what I'm saying is like, it's like there does seem to be people on tour, Yuli, that don't show emotion because they think
Well, they don't get praise for, first of all. Like, the fans aren't like, man, I love that guy because of this. Like, we have a weird sport. Like, you make a long putt. Are you a run after it kind of guy, or are you a walk after it kind of guy?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I walk. I don't run.
Why aren't you running?
Because I don't think that necessarily. I think you can also.
But it's kind of like following your shot in. You make it. You're running
That's
halfway.
fine. Yeah, if you like do a jump, like Kevin Jones, that jump putt that he did over that sewer, and he just kept like after he landed, he kept going after it. Yeah. Again, I think a lot of it. But what I'm saying, Yuli, is I don't want to see calculations. That's the thing.
Okay.
In sports, I don't want to see people calculating their celebrations or calculate. I want to see raw emotion. And what I think sometimes happens is it literally seems like I'm going to do this shot, and instead of me celebrating or doing anything, I'm just going to act like that's normal. I do that all the time. I could be wrong.
Time and place.
It just seems like some players act like they're too cool for school, and like
it's the sport, man. It's a mental game to where you can't get too high, you can't get too low.
But you can in spurts. That's what I'm saying. If you make a massive putt, it's okay to show 5 seconds of emotion.
I agree. No.
And then as you're walking over to the next tee, then you can lock it in. But like, I guess that's just my only thing. It's like, hey, if you have no emotion and you have zero personality, and if I talk to you, I'm gonna be like, wow, this guy can throw a frisbee really well, but like, I can't talk to this guy. This guy's boring as heck.
Like, did you watch the practice round where?
I don't know.
Okay, well, there was a moment, and it's on social media where Ben Callaway throws it in, and Kevin Jones and Niklas, they're all running.
That clip. They're all
that's a great clip. You know, they're all running and they're all having a good time.
Yeah, I love that.
There for them. But that's what I'm saying. It's not that they don't have personality, and it's that we play a game to where if you want to be the best at the game, you can't have those. You can't.
Yes, you can.
You can. But it's a skill. It's a skill that is not. It's a tough skill to learn. Ricky has it. Who else has it?
This is what it is, though, Yuli. I think you're missing my point. My point is one of the reasons why so many people disliked Brooks Koepka at a certain point is because Brooks Koepka was playing a character of saying, "I'm way cooler than golf is. Like, I don't practice.
Yeah,
I don't do this. I'm so like." This is just a child's game. He had that character, and that's why a lot of people were like off on Brooks Koepka is because like he was playing a character. Like, no one can tell me that if they throw in a shot from 200 feet, that their normal reaction is just to act like, yeah, no big deal. Whatever.
Hey, if I'm in the hunt at a big tournament, and it's probably 50-50. I might make the shot from 200 feet and I might have zero emotion. And I'm never going to, I don't think I'll ever be like all crazy. You know,
you don't know what you're going to do though, Yuli, because you're not in that moment. And when you're in that moment, you're just going to let your body take over. And if the crowd starts going nuts, that's probably also going to help you maybe come out of your shell, whatever, and get more excited. That's fine. My point is just there's just people that I wish they just loosened up. It seems like they're playing a character of like, I can't show emotion because I'm so good that I just want people to make like believe that this is normal. And it's like, I don't know. That's my only thing is like, I'm watching this stuff and like some guys are just so boring to watch. And it's like,
I mean, McBeth back in the day was boring. He was boring until it mattered. And then he showed a lot of emotion, but like he had no expression ever. It was breathe on your fingers, make your putt, and then on to the next hole. There was no smiling. It was ice cold.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what these guys have learned.
Yeah. And maybe that was his way of saying like, that's how I'm just going to stay focused and do this thing or whatever. It's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, Yuli, at the end of the day, this sport doesn't go anywhere without people watching it and the fans watching it.
Well, I think you're onto something with as far as like the camera angles and stuff, like seeing what maybe a two screener of like, okay, he's watching the shot. Here's the shot. And you get to watch them through the whole thing. You know what I mean? To see what their reaction is
I just think there's some people that are fake. I guess that's it comes across as like, comes across as like, that's not actually how that's
not you.
Correct. And if it is, then you're just like a robot and you have like literally no emotion and it is what it is. But I just want the people that I would love to, I think everyone would love to see it. And don't go over the top and do something that isn't you either because you're like, oh, I need to be like way out there and wacky. No, that's lame too. That's boring to watch as well. It's just like the raw emotions, like Niklas going, let's go, and like doing a little skip to the basket. Like that made that moment so much better than just making that putt and going like this. Because there's see if you can get the difference in my face here. See if you can get the difference in my face.
Well, it's tough to have. You only have 1 to 2 of those moments a tournament.
But watch my face. See if you can see the difference between these two faces. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't do it, but I'm going to try my best here.
Okay.
Face one. Yep. Face two.
You have to fart.
Were those different faces?
Yeah.
I tried my best. Were those different faces?
They are.
Like one is just like deadpan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a farting face.
No, serious.
One's like deadpan and one's like freaking I'm about to rip your heart out.
Yeah.
Like I'm locked in. And like I don't know. To me, it's like the deadpan is like the people acting like nothing is bothering them versus the other one. And Niklas did have a little bit of that too, of where you just looked at him and he was locked in. Paul, I think, is another person that has that. Ricky gets that too. Ricky gets super hyped and then it goes back to him. He gets locked in. There are people that have it. Well, it's just there's some people that they seem like
it's learned too.
You know what it is, Yuli? It's the headphones people. That's what it is. The people that it's the headphones. I just
okay. I got another theory.
It's the headphones people. Yeah. The people that need to wear headphones to have music playing so their thoughts don't come into their heads and mess them up. Those are the people that are like, I'm so afraid of showing any sort of emotion. And because that one time I got super excited and super like jacked up, I played terrible. And then that one time I got really upset, I played terrible. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do this.
Well, what about as far as reactions? Don't you think maybe part of it is if you look at the people who are good at reacting in the moment and having their emotions be seen, might have been athletes before disc golf and had a little experience with being able to be like, you know what I mean, a little trash talk with the other team, a little one-on-one. And they've never learned that.
If I had a teammate where like I threw them a goal and they made a sick catch and they just stood up and like didn't do anything and we're just like,
right.
I'd be like, this is the weirdest person ever.
It's expected. It's possibly a
culture that's why you play the game.
Right? But
don't you play the game for those feelings?
But you don't have that in disc golf. You don't have that. Like you've been taught it.
To me though, like that's what you play the game for. You play the game so you have those shots at the end of a round. You have those big putts. Like that's why we play the game.
Oh, and there's certain people who are great at reacting to them, but also who are the guys who are reacting in the way that you want? Obviously, we've probably been on this subject for a little too long.
Sorry, we talked about too much, but
I
just think
they're
that's
former athletes in other sports too.
I think that's something that could help coverage.
I got you.
Because the play was there, it was intense, and it's like you're getting nothing from the players. You're getting nothing from them. Yeah. And you're like, what is happening? And I get it. Maybe we need another 5,000 people out there going nuts.
They might get more scared and zero reaction. More.
All right. Enough of that. Let's talk. We'll pull up the manufacturer cup real quick because we actually haven't talked about this yet. So after
they're making a push
after Music City, Discmania has made a huge push, mainly thanks to Niklas and Gannon getting a lot of points for them this past event. But Discraft is still leading the race with Latitude moving up actually past Innova. Innova in the 4th spot right now. Very fascinating. But there you see it. Discraft at 209 points, Discmania at 163, and Latitude in 3rd place at 84.8 points right there. Discmania with the most points for 2 weeks in a row. So, all right. First question that I want to pose, because I think this is a good question. And maybe we'll get Jeff Spring on here again. But one of the questions was, can you ask Jeff Spring if they saw an influx on the Disc Golf Network views and subs this week? My friends and I are very loyal to Jomez, and usually we only watch MPO But because of betting, we all bought subscription and watched live coverage for both MPO and FPO all 3 rounds. So this is something that I kind of suspected, right?
Yep.
People like the people that were kind of on the fence, the average watchers, all of a sudden you get a little money in the game, a little skin in the game. You're going to be tuning in. You're going to be paying attention. You're not going to wait until Jomez comes out to see if your bet's hit. And so I think this is a good thing. I think this is a great thing. And I'm very curious to ask Jeff, numbers wise, was there an uptick? Did they see more viewers? Did they get more subscribers? Something that we're also going to do here, Yuli, that I think is going to be fun from week to week is Edwin is going to be sharing his bets throughout the season just to kind of see how we do. So Edwin sent over his bets from Music City Open. He placed 2 bets. His first bet was $100 to win $430. It was Kristin Tattar to finish better than 2.5. Cat Merch finished better than 8.5. And Haley King finished better than 10.5. All 3 hit. So he ended up winning $330. His second bet was a $50 bet to win $230. That was for Gannon Buhr to finish higher than 3.5. Paul to finish higher than 7.5. And Chris to finish higher than 8.5. Obviously, Chris finishing in 20th, so he didn't win that one. So he walks away with $280 after the first event.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
We also are going to have these statistics up that he placed up. So basically, he's running these numbers, Yuli, to show where players should finish based off of all this stuff. So best finish, average finish, where they finished in 2024, their worst finish, their average score, all that. And then he's basically putting a best value and then weighting them so you can see where the best bets are. Now, surprisingly for MPO, very bad here because obviously Chris Dickerson did not do well, and he was the highest one. Simon did not do well.
That's hilarious.
And then Niklas, he thought Niklas was the worst bet coming in, and obviously Niklas won. So obviously on the MPO side,
statistics,
Gary's joining us now for a little of the betting side of things. Gary, any thoughts on the stats on the MPO side with some of these numbers here that you see?
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to go backwards and make sure that everyone knows here. It's really, really important that when we talk about like sports betting and gambling and whatnot, that everyone do this very, very responsibly, because all day you can look at everything in the world and it's not a guaranteed thing. It's not something, it's risky. You should be doing it with hopefully disposable income. And I can let Finance Brody tell you what disposable income is, but please make sure you're doing this kind of stuff responsibly. It's really, really important. But one of the things that I'll talk about is I talked to Edwin a bit about what he has here on the screen. And it's a lot of information to sort of digest. And a lot of work kind of went into looking at these lines, which take a look at things like their best finish at the number of times they played the event, their average finish, how they've done before. One of the most important columns here, though, is that weighted column, because it takes into account things like the number of times they've played the event, which gives more confidence in what their average finish is. Because obviously, if you've only played it one time, your average finish is whatever you had there.
Sure.
So the more you've played it, the better chance that the figures make more sense. Also, recency is a big thing, because how you did in 2022 doesn't matter as much as how you did in 2024. And there's all other things like variability. And one of the points that Edwin really wanted to make is that this is him putting this together in like 30 minutes. We're going to be throughout and taking a real deep look at a lot of the statistics, and there's a lot of things he's going to be doing in the background. One of the things a lot of people don't know is that Edwin also keeps stats like what kind of success players have on different kinds of holes. So as we see course changes happening, he's going to be able to incorporate some of that into what's going on. Additionally, we're going to look at things like recency in terms of this year. So if a player like Niklas, obviously, if you look at these numbers, you can tell that if you take into account his season so far, he probably wouldn't have a weighted score so low here. We would definitely see that a lot higher, and people would have more confidence in the betting lines. And that's probably something we're going to see very consistently, that if you look at a lot of the lines that came from these stats for the FPO field, it was a bit easier to predict, because there's a little bit less parity in the FPO field. There's a bit more consistency in where you're seeing people finish. But the MPO field has just become so competitive, and names that we don't see often are bouncing up into the leaderboards. It's become a lot harder to predict. So no wonder he definitely hit his line on the FPO side, because I think it's a bit easier to look at there. But as we go throughout the season, we're going to dive deeper into the stats and see some really interesting things. But it was a lot of fun to check these out and kind of see what Underdog was placing, because I think there was a lot of fear with the Prize Picks debacle on how well lines would be placed. And we want to see, obviously we want people to succeed when they have these bets, but we don't want to see these companies run under the ground and then it goes away just like it did before. So we want to see competitive lines put out there. And I think there's a lot of good insight going into it. I mean, we saw DraftKings did pull their lines. There's a lot of stuff there, but they're going to learn throughout the season how that goes. But I like this stuff on Underdog, the over or under the finishing place. And
well, when you looked at Edwin's bets, a lot of the lines that he hit right there were pretty spot on.
Yeah, look how close they were.
I mean, the lines look pretty good to me. You see Haley right there beating it by the hook, and then you see Cap Merch beating it by the hook.
And Kristin
then
too.
And
you
then
don't have much room. Yeah.
So, I mean, hats off to them. Those are some really good lines up top.
Yeah, and I think too. I know some people have some cons with betting and disc golf. My thing with it is going to, for the majority of the people, bring a lot more attention to a lot of players that usually will not get attention throughout the year, throughout the tournament. A lot of times we get laser focus, just like anything, towards the end, who's going to win. And that's all you're paying attention to. I mentioned this a little bit, and you guys will hear a little bit more on debate night this week. Something that hopefully the Disc Golf Pro Tour is looking into is, I bet their score app, wherever people are looking up scores, whether it's the PGA or I don't know if the Disc Golf Pro Tour even does their scores on their actual website, but PGA Live, for example, I bet more people were paying attention to PGA Live and looking at scores than any tournament before, because if you had Haley King, for example, Haley King was nowhere near the lead. She wasn't on coverage, but you better believe those people are going to look and see where she is.
They're starring her name.
Yeah,
and they're looking for her. So I think that is going to be a huge thing of where a lot more eyeballs are going to be paying attention to a lot more players than just who is playing the best.
I'll be curious to see if throughout the season, the Disc Golf Network takes the opportunity to get cameras on some of the people with more interesting betting lines to give that visibility on, oh, here's a really big putt on 18 for this individual, and they're right at the line. So they make this putt, they're in, they miss the putt, they're out. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
All right, you and Mike have something whipped up for us. I was hearing some talks about this King of the Hill situation.
Yep. So this isn't related to the betting lines. This is more of a early season, too early predictions on what the current King of the Hill tier ranking is for players on tour. So this isn't supposed to be something like where I expect them to be by the end of the season. This is right now is sort of a hot take on where people are at on tour. So at the bottom of when I say bottom of the hill, we're looking at the top 21 players for the FPO and the MPO. And just want to get your kind of both of your reactions on this. In tier 6, you've got, Macy Vela-Diaz, Deanne Carey. You got Emily Weatherman. A couple of the players here that are really interesting to watch is like Emily Weatherman. I think we all
you gotta kick her off.
I think we may have expected her to be higher here. If you look at the people who are below her, she kind of sits there okay, but she's definitely a player who is on the bubble that we're watching. Same thing with Macy Vela-Diaz, who had a really great showing at Supreme Flight, but we haven't seen other events from her yet. So that's kind of tier 6. It's a little bit wonky. Going up to tier 5, you find players like Henna and Jessica Weiss and Paige Pierce. This is going to be, I think, one of the more controversial tiers because you've got, Haley King here. One event in, is she definitely better than what she appears here on tier 5? Henna, she could definitely be a lot higher here, but is she restricted by her putting? And then obviously you've got Paige Pierce, who kind of sits right here on tier 5. Moving up the ladder onto tier 4, you've kind of start to get into your little bit more consistent players. You've got Kat, you got Rebecca Cox, who has been playing great so far this year. And then you've got Missy, who I think this was the first event we really got to see, the Missy that we are kind of expecting throughout the season. And then you've got Cadence, who put down a really great event.
Yeah.
Fantastic. One of the players I think we're watching there for sure is Kat Merch, because she may be someone we expect to pop up or expect to see finishing better. But tier 3, we've got Ella, Evelina, and Owen. Consistent, solid finishers so far this year. Definitely looking to make some waves. I think this is the tier where you can start saying any one of these ladies can win at any given time.
Yeah, I could see Missy changing, switching out with Ella throughout the season at a certain point.
Yep, I could definitely see Missy hopping up into that category throughout the year. And then obviously as you jump up into tier 2, the players that we're talking about a lot, Holland Handley, already a proven winner, and Silva, who I think is on that precipice of winning this season. I definitely think she's got a win in the States under her belt at some point by the end of this year, but I don't think it's any question who's at the top, who the queen of the hill currently is. And that's Kristin, of course. So this is kind of like the too early, pyramid pick for the FPO division. It gets a little more contentious on the MPO side. But before we go over there, any thoughts on the tiers here and if people are slotted incorrectly? What do you think?
I could go. Yeah. I mean, the first thing that I would switch out would be Saarinen for Evelina. I think Evelina deserves to be on the second tier just because she's one of the only ones that's winning. So you have Hanley, you have Evelina, and then I would even be okay with switching out Ella for that position, only because we haven't seen Saarinen be able to close the deal down the stretch so far, and we have been able to see both of them do it. And I think I would even drop her down. I mean, everybody falls in love with the here and now, what have you done for me lately? But why is Missy down here on this tier? Like there needs to be a bigger tier up above or something because Missy does not belong in the same.
I think it's just going off of this season, right? We're not going off of this is just the 4 events this season.
Yep, this is the right now. This is not my prediction of where they're going to be at by the end of the year. It's sort of a hot take of where they exist currently. Because if you look at Missy, she definitely had tied for 4th at Waco was a good deal for her, but otherwise at Supreme Flight,
It's just so hard not to bring pass into it.
I know.
I don't think you can do.
Events.
I don't think you can do that. That's so bad. My brain can't handle.
Has Ella had a better season up to this point since her? She has.
Ellen's finishes. She's got 1st, 4th, 9th, and 7th.
Yeah,
she's
top 10. She's top 10 every time.
So for this year, yes, Ella has to replace Saarinen. Like that's
Evelina. You're saying Evelina Saarinen. You said Ella.
Yeah, she won.
Oh, you're putting Ella up over Silva.
She won a tournament. She won the tournament. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and top 10 every time. Pop her up there. Because what's Saarinen's the whole season? What do we got?
She's got tied for 6th, 13th, 4th, and 2nd.
Yeah, it's not even. It shouldn't even be a conversation.
Yeah, because she has a win. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're saying we're valuing wins big time.
Yuli's a win guy.
All right, we'll keep that in mind when we transition over to the MPO
top
side.
10 every time. What are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, Silva's had a pretty good season too.
A pretty good season.
Yep.
Come on.
6th, 13th,
they're very
14th,
close.
If you put those two next to each other and you said who had the better season,
I think Ella's had a better season so far, but it is close.
It's not close.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the biggest argument because Ella hasn't finished outside the top 10 and Silva has. So yeah,
what's Evelina's statistics for the season?
She got 2nd, 14th, 9th, and 4th.
Okay, so we could even replace Evelina with Saarinen. My point. We're falling in love with what have you done?
You're right.
Lately.
You're right. The bottom row is also just gonna be a murder's row. that bottom row is just gonna be a murder's row.
I mean, Rivalry, I think, did have a couple lead card appearances.
Oh, here you go. Head to head.
This season?
Wow, Ella's got her by 1 stroke. That's crazy,
go.
Actually. Yeah, I guess you got to put Ella ahead. Guess you got to.
Hey, but it's not our hill.
No,
we're just here to debate the hill.
Hey, no, it's great. See, it prompts, I think, really interesting discussion of the question of skill versus wins. How important are wins compared to how they're playing right now, and stuff like that. And hey, cool. Everyone in there in the comments, put in the comments who you got on the hill. Who's your tier 2?
Yeah. But
we're saying Holland Hanley is firmly in that spot. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not even. Yep.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right, it's going to get a little contentious, I think, over here on the MPO side.
Oh, boy.
This was I'll gotta be honest with you. This is a very, very tough one to put together. But on tier 6, you've got Ezra Aderhold, who I think is one of my top players for I'd love to see him be like the next guy to get a nice win. You got Sully Matteo, who's not had the greatest start to the season, but pretty good here recently. Paul Kranz, who's had a great season so far. And then Gavin Babcock and KJ USA, who wasn't really in a lot of conversation last year, but has had some decent finishes this year and could be there.
Yeah.
Moving up to tier 5, I'm going to get some looks here. You got Isaac Robinson. Looking at his season so far, because remember, we're not looking at the past. We're not trying to predict the future. Right now, Isaac kind of finds himself in that tier 5 spot. You got Simon, who yes, he had some success early, but we're looking at a missed cut at the Open at Austin. We're looking at not the world's greatest performance here this past weekend, but Austin Turner, our big lefty man, doing so well there. Chris Dickerson, you got Andrew Marweed, who's been heating up recently on tour as well. Going up another to the 4th tier, we've got AB. Not I think he's done well for himself this season, but could definitely be looking for more compared to what we saw at the start of last season. Kyle Klein, if he would have made a few more putts at the Open at Austin, probably be up one more spot on this tier list. You got Ricky, maybe just getting some time more with the bag. We'll see him definitely rise up. He's one of the players that I think we're going to be watching move on this tier system. And then Evan, who's been putting forth some great numbers. Moving up to tier number 3, I've got Adam Hammes, Ezra Robinson, and Calvin Heimberg, who seem to be those guys right now who are just consistently in the events, putting down some hot rounds. Obviously, you got Adam and Ezra both winning this season already. So really big for them. I think one of the big talking points here is, you've got the 2 Robinson brothers, one on tier 3, one on tier 5. Where's that going to be throughout the year? But we don't care about the rest of the year. We care about right now. That's what this tier list is about. And then here's the big question. Who is on tier 2?
Pretty easy.
Paul.
Yeah.
Gannon and Paul. Gannon, obviously, I think eye test wise, he's still going to be the best player in the world from a skill perspective. But right now, we're not seeing that on the course as much as we'd like to. But like you said earlier, Yuli, a couple missed putts away from being a 2-time winner. And you got Paul McBeth, who's been in contention so much this year and has not been able to get it there. And by default, with 2 wins, our killer and king of the hill right now is Niklas, who I think that show of emotion that he's been putting, like that you guys have mentioned before, and why it's so great to see is maybe because he doesn't show emotion. So when he does, it has such a greater impact. We're watching a guy here who's ready to, if the field is going to keep allowing the door to be open, Niklas is the guy who's going to keep walking through it. So what do you think? Initial reaction, gut reaction. What's totally wrong here? What do you think?
Go ahead, Broads.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's tough because obviously it's only 4 tournaments in, right? And I think too, looking at this, I think you're also something that maybe you're not, like, people aren't understanding is like you're taking into account players' bad tournaments too. So you're not just like dropping off, because I know, like, obviously Simon being as far down, was he 1, 2, 3, 4? He's on the 5th tier. Some people are going to look at that, but like he's had 2 really bad finishes. So bad finishes for him, right? And so I think I can see I think the top 3 make a whole lot of sense. Ezra's got to win, Adam's got to win. So those guys have to go up there.
I don't think so. I think Adam needs to be replacing Paul without a doubt.
Oh, you think Adam should go up?
Absolutely. Adam has a win. I think he has a 6th place. I think he's might have top 10'd every single tournament.
Yep. He's got 9th, 1st, 6th, and 10th. And Paul's been
like almost the same situation 11th. As the Silva and
and what is Paul?
Paul is 3rd, 11th, 7th, and 4th. So it by average, it's actually pretty close.
By average, without a win. So
the win pushes him up. Okay. Oh, see, Paul's got. See, I love this. Like how you can see the strokes. Like Paul's got him beat by strokes. Obviously, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. And the 100% top 10. I mean, top 10s are huge with it.
Tough.
It's tough to just constantly get a top 10. And then Ezra, what's his season looking like?
1st and then 19th at Waco, which is his like only real blemish, and then 4th and 8th.
I mean, that's an argument also to be able to replace Paul, but I think it's pretty obvious.
I think Adam more so.
Adam replaces him there. And then I mean, looking at the 2nd tier, give me Marweed's finishes, because I know he has 2 top 5s.
Gotcha. So Marweed is 59th, 5th, 34th, and 5th.
Oh, that's tough. That's a tough one. Yeah.
It's kind of like this. I think that group right there are all people that have had like good finishes and then bad finishes, because Simon's in the same boat, right?
Yep.
Simon, and what is Evan? Evan has like top 15s.
I think Evan's been
Evan is 26th, 3rd, 22nd, and 7th.
Yeah, like he's just a little bit more consistent.
Kind of bouncing a little bit.
Yeah.
Klein?
Kyle's 6th, 17th, and 2nd, and he did not compete at MCO.
Yeah, I don't think you can move him up, though. I don't think he's better than Adam, Ezra, or Calvin at this point.
And then Barella, this is surprising because he just took 20th.
Yep, 2nd, 11th, 5th, and 20th.
This is a pretty good. This is a pretty good list. King of the Hill here.
I like the list.
Yeah. As
Yep.
of right now, 4 tournaments into the season, we're thinking the only thing we change here is Adam. Adam takes Paul's spot.
I think that's fair.
I like it. Throughout the year, if you like it, we'll bring it back on some of the off weeks. What the update, who moved down a few steps, who moved up a few steps, maybe some new names on the steps as well. But yeah, definitely, I'd love to see what everyone else thinks about who deserves to be on the top of the list. Is Gannon's second places and whatnot good enough to be up there, or does Niklas take it with?
What is the one tier? I think it was Mahomes Mountain on one of the. Is that where you got this from?
Yeah, but that's basically where this is from. Yep.
Okay, so then we got to do Pumpkin Watch, and we got to put who. So go back. Who's on Pumpkin Watch as like a complete fraud on this? This is tough.
Fraud.
A complete fraud. Do you see a pumpkin?
I mean, not to throw shade, but someone who definitely, if you look at last year, doesn't belong here at all is probably KJ. But the way he's played this year so far,
I would say if I had to pick someone that I wouldn't be surprised, I think the one person that I see that like I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't on this list is probably Kranz.
Yeah.
That's probably who I would say. Like, I think he is the new upcoming guy. So he's, I think, just the easiest guy to be like, he might fall off.
Yep.
Now, something that is interesting.
Yep.
Only one true European on this, and he's number 1.
Yeah. If you look at, because this is the top 21 players, a few people who are in the current top 21 that are not on this list anywhere would be someone like Chris Dickerson. No, Dickerson's never there. Never mind. I lied to you on that one. Bradley Williams is 20th. He's not on this list anywhere. So technically, he's not there. There was a
Kranz finishes this year.
All right, so Paul Kranz finished 26th, 14th, 36th, and 13th.
Solid.
Yeah, it's solid. Solid
That's
season
good.
so far. Yeah. Solid season so far. I like this. This will be fun. And I think too, if we can it'd be fun too to kind of go back, a couple months from now, be like, see what we were having at the beginning of the season, because I'm sure we're gonna forget, a few months in.
Yeah, and we'll put some pressure on producer Mike to make a little animation where people like walk down the steps or walk up the steps.
That would okay. Here we go. Here's a good question from this list. Who do you think from this list will have the most volatility from week to week? So, like, who do you think is going to end up going up and down the most? So they're just constantly on a roller coaster.
I think from an upwards trajectory perspective, Isaac is hard to see Isaac on the 5th tier. I could definitely see him making some mobility, but
I think once Isaac gets up, I don't think he's going to drop.
You drop it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe Austin Turner. I could see him like drop completely off and then all of a sudden pop back in with the top 5.
Maybe Evan Smith bouncing around a little bit.
I think Aderhold. Honestly, I think he's one of those guys who has big time downs and then huge big tournaments to where all of a sudden he's top 5. And I'd like to see him become a little bit more consistent. But so far over the last few years, he'll have like 2 to 3 tournaments where all of a sudden, he's in contention on the lead card. I think it was Austin last year where he played really good kind of down the stretch.
Yeah, no, I like this. It's cool.
I'll just hop in real quick. I think I'm surprised no one said it on Brody's question. For me, short term, I think Anttila might be the one bouncing up and down. And the reason I say that is he has the lowest average finish of the top 6 people on this list. So granted, if he keeps winning, we can't be saying that, but he's still averaging 15th per event versus like a Hamas is averaging 6th. Right? So there still might be some inconsistency issues. We'll obviously have to wait and see. But with the old narrative of Anttila kind of being course dependent and a little streaky, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think this is going to be the last week that he's on the top of the mountain. And I think we're going to see Gannon kind of take that spot. And it's going to be tough for people to take back just because of the consistency throughout the week. But I also I want to see you be fair in the judgment. And I think wins deserve I think wins deserve to move you up pretty good, because if Niklas is going to be number one with the 2 wins out of the season, plus those other bad finishes, then a win
But you
next.
can't. How can you move Gannon up if Gannon?
No,
wins
what
the
I'm
next
saying
event,
is,
how
let's
can you
say
move him up?
let's say McBeth wins next week. Does he then move up, or does Niklas stay on top of the mountain?
Well, I mean, you're going to move a guy up that has 1 win in the first 5 events over a guy that's got 2 wins in the first 5 events. Does that go completely against?
Niklas misses the cut. Like it's going to be it's going to be an interesting mountain. Is all I'm saying. I want to. It's going to be tough. But here's the thing: it's not our mountain. It's his.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
and then I'll just pick it apart.
We'll just roast it.
That's the point. My question was going to be, what happens if Niklas doesn't win one of those, and it's Niklas's 1 win versus Gannon's season so far? Does that do you value that 1 win, but a significantly worse average finish compared to Gannon, going 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and then the 12th?
I think for me, the value is obviously winning and then consistency after that. And so like top 10s for me is huge because it's so hard to get that. And that's the only reason why I would move Adam up against Paul, is because the win and then top 10s across the board, that's hard to do for anybody. Yeah. And that there's a lot of value there. He would, if Niklas doesn't even get the win this weekend, it might be Adam's mountain to me. You get what I'm saying? And so that's where easy one to call out when you win back-to-back tournaments.
I like it. Gary, you got anything else for us, brother? That was fun.
No, that's all that we prepped. Looking forward to returning to the mountain for a hike up it at some point in time this season.
I love it.
Love it. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Pickem time, Yuli. I mean, do we know disc golf or do we know disc golf, man?
We're pretty good.
Extending our lead with 58 points versus Grip Locked this week. They actually had a pretty good week. They more than doubled their points. They got 42 points. They ended up picking Gannon, that got him 16.5. Kristin got them 25, and Haley got him 0.5. We picked 1 and 2. Literally, we could not have gotten more points.
That was a huge switch at the end.
Could not have gotten more points in FPO.
Was I right? Were they trying to pick between Haley and...
You were.
No, I think they were too.
I don't know what they were trying, but you were trying to go with Haley.
Oh, for sure, I was. And then we flipped it around.
Snuck Silva in there, who got us a lot of points. That missed putt at the end from Paul killed us.
Yeah.
That would have gotten us an extra couple points there. And Ezra also just kind of fell flat there on the final round, getting us 3 points, though. Simon. They had Silva first, and they switched to Haley last second.
So big. It's just when you're that much crisp,
it's a feel.
That's what we do.
So nice little lead there for us. No picks this week because there is no tournament this weekend, but we will be back next week with our picks. All right, a couple questions here. Got some good ones here. Can players have spies on the course during a tournament? For example, I want to know if there are tricky winds knocking down the forehand on an island par 3. So I send someone to watch 3 cards ahead of me and text me if players are coming up short.
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to have. I don't think that's illegal. What I think's illegal is your spotter going out for a mark.
Yes. I think you can have people tell you anything you want them to tell you.
Yeah.
You can't have your caddy
as a visual aid
say, "Hey, throw it over top of me."
Or yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, heck, if you want to walk up to someone that's like been sitting at a hole all day and been like, "Hey, what are you seeing players do?" and they tell you, and you want to use that information, completely in the rules. A disc golf Grand Slam trip here. You're off work for a week. All expenses are paid. The boss is going and paying for everything. What 4 courses are you playing that week? 4 courses anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world?
Yeah.
Sounds like a European trip to me.
I think Maple Hill might be the only one I play in this. I know you hate Maple Hill, but
I don't hate Maple Hill.
You hate Maple
Hill. I love Maple Hill. I can't stand that the hole 1 is the number 1 hole of all time ever. That's wild to me. But anyways, keep going.
I think
love
Maple
Maple
Hill.
Hill.
I think Maple Hill's in there for sure. Mine's gonna be very like American because I haven't played that many courses but I'm assuming Northwood Black. I think you got to put that in there. That course is unlike any other course. That one's just crazy. Yeah, I'm blanking now. I love Champions Cup. The course doesn't exist anymore. I love New London too. That course doesn't exist anymore. Maybe I didn't play it, but probably Tampere, the course Ace played over for European Open. That course looks sick.
So that would be my first one would be Tampere. Krokel would be my next one. So you could go from Europe or from Norway to Finland, and then
Idaho's got a top 5 course.
And then I love Vermont.
Oh, Brewster and
for those
can you
two,
count those together?
I want to. If we can, then I like that a lot. I would go Krokel. No, I would go the tournament we're playing for Worlds. What's it called?
I think it's Tampere, right?
Yeah, but it's called something. It's like, anyways.
I thought that's what it's called.
That's a city.
I thought it was called Tampere.
I think that's just.
Is that the city? I don't know.
Anyways, that one, Krokel's really nice. Dude, the one that they're paying for the Czech Republic, really cool.
Really?
Dope. Oh, it's sick. Yeah. One of my favorites I've ever played. And then Fox.
What about Winthrop?
Here's it.
If that was on an actual course, it would be up there.
No, if it was set up the exact way that it's set up for the U.S. Open,
and you remove all the school.
No. If it was just set up that way to where you could just go out there and play it with the string and the mowing and all of that, yes, that place is phenomenal, fun, exciting.
I just think it's like you're going to a school.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, no,
like showing up to hole 1 at USC at Winthrop versus going to hole 1 at like Fox Run. Like that's a completely different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. I mean, USDGC tournament week, USDGC calling your name first hole. There ain't nothing like it.
WR Jackson was the course I was thinking about for Champions Cup, but
the monster
doesn't exist anymore. So that's a great question. Did you see the college disc golf championships? Do you think college disc golf has the potential to grow into a common college sport?
So I think I did watch a lot. I watched the scores. I watched some clips from like Instagram and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of coverage. I don't even know where to watch it. I'm huge into college disc golf. My foundation, like we try to give scholarships to collegiate athletes, and there just isn't a lot. It has the potential to be the best, to be the absolute, like schools playing against each other. You know what that's like. Like you get the call, you're wearing your colors, you represent, like it has the potential, but it's just not there.
Yeah, I think ultimately it just has to be like an actual good product.
Yep. Because running it the same weekend as Pro Tour, people are going to watch the Pro Tour.
Because I don't even know if the Pro Tour, the Pro Tour already still has so many troubles with their coverage. Yep. I'm assuming college is probably worse.
It'd be tough.
So I'm talking live coverage here, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, but when you have the rivalries and stuff like that, that definitely adds.
And here's the problem: not a lot of people will know about disc golf who go to college, and so typically, even if you know nothing about the Florida Gators and basketball, if you go to that college, you're watching that game.
Mm-hmm.
See, disc golf, if you go to that college and then they're like, yeah, we have a disc golf team of 8 guys. Like,
I don't think
it doesn't have it.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be a game. I don't think it'll be a game changer, but I think the people that are involved in disc golf could potentially tune in if it like was a good product, if it was watchable and digestible. Because I did watch a little bit of the when they were at North Cove, and it was like Emporia State versus that other team down the wire. Like that was kind of interesting a little bit at the end there. All right. With no registration for this weekend's Go Throw event, it appears this is actually a question from Gary. It looks like there will be it appears to truly be an invitational. However, it looks like there will be no FPO field during this flagship event of their tour. We know the money is an MPO, but this is disingenuous to the all-inclusive vibe they push. To clarify, it took numerous weeks to get less than average FPO coverage for their first event. Their Persimmon Ridge coverage just came out a week and a half later. How do they expect to get FPO bought in when they don't get better coverage and they aren't included in the big event? So I'm going to take a wild stab at this. I think they might just head towards a more MPO tour. I think it takes a lot more effort, a lot more time, a lot more planning to run two tours simultaneously in itself, MPO and FPO. And then if you're not seeing a big ROI on the FPO, what is making you want to continue to do that? So that's my take. I think they might just be going all in on MPO and FPO is just not going to be involved. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I don't even know what the purse was before. I wish I had that answer of what the FPO made in their tournament compared to what the MPO made in their tournament, because when you look at like the purses that the Pro Tour divvies out for the FPO, it's really good. It's really good, especially for the field size.
Yep.
Like they're making a lot of money. And so when you don't have those types of funds and you're only playing for, I'm guessing, $1,000 for first place, how is that going to get a lot of women to go over there when it's expensive? You're taking a full weekend. You might not get bonuses for it. Like that's a tough ask to just get an FPO field like involved. Now I could be completely, I don't know what the payout is, but that's just what I'm guessing. Otherwise,
100, 664, 468, 365. So you're pretty spot on.
And how many players? It don't matter.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So that's my point, though. That's a tough ask.
Yeah.
There's 9 players, and they paid what?
1,200, 664, 468, 365.
See, and that's still really great payout.
That is actually insane.
That's a great payout for that the least amount. So if I was an FPO player, I'd be running over to that. 9 people.
So everyone runs over it. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. They're playing their big event this weekend, so we'll see. Okay. This kind of goes back. Excuse me. This kind of goes back to our celebration. Someone said, do players need to incorporate C2 celebrations when they make the putt to bring some electricity for the game? What would your C2 celebration be? So the way I'm envisioning this question is almost like WWE, where like someone is known for a specific celebration before they do a certain move. I think Matty O's got a good one with like the first down. I love that. But what would your go-to celebration be for a circle 2 putt?
I don't know. I don't make a lot of circle 2s right now. Haven't got to celebrate a lot. My favorite one to watch, I like when McBeth made the putt against Jeremy Colling at the Memorial, and he turned around and it was like almost a Steph Curry 3-point, and then he's jogging down like a look away.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Maybe like a full 360 look at your competitors. That seems like that would be pretty cool. I like Albert Tom's bazooka.
The bazooka is
really
fun.
Good. Really good. But I think I'm more of like a classic fist pump in the moment type thing, but that's why I don't drop those unless it's like a big putt in a big situation. And then, like you said, you get your raw emotion. I don't think I'm going to be doing shooter guns at something in my peak athletic moment. Yeah, you know what I mean.
We need to see you like choke slam Brad off of your cart.
Yeah. Or the person like just go.
Mike, what you got?
I just wanted to hop in. Well, the best celebration would be a Euro step to the basket. Someone needs to do that.
Oh, that's
yeah.
But I do want to hop in.
Perez action.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to sneak in earlier when we were talking about this, but since we're talking about it again, I think there's probably more emotion. Obviously, Brody's been on tour and he's seen it, so I could be wrong. But I do think the emotion and the personalities would be sold better just as is. I think it's a coverage thing, like pretty badly. Because when you watch golf, every single shot, they either have the little picture-in-picture of their face staying on the whole shot, so you see the reaction, or they don't have that. Every single shot, they pan back and they have 5-10 seconds of them walking down. And you see them and you hear them and you can see the emotion on their faces. Because even if it's a bad emotion, it's better than not knowing any of the emotions of the players. And then I think the other thing that's really that golf does really well, and I don't know if it would work in disc golf or not, but all the featured cars have the boom mic, the microphones. And so you hear the caddy player interaction, you hear Phil Mickelson yelling at the ball to bite on the way to the green. So I think even stuff like that would help with the personality and the energy level stuff. I think it already probably could exist if they did a little bit different coverage.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think a lot of stuff probably does get missed. The audio is a huge one. When you're watching stuff, having that
Big
audio
moments
is
so in sports
helpful.
in general, especially golf, big moments. They replay those big moments of what they say, like what is it? Be the right club today. You know, like moments like that are huge and then get etched into the history.
I'll tell you one of my least favorite things I see is when people like sit down or like lie down. When I see someone do that, like after a missed putt or something, when I see someone do that, like it reminds me of like a U9 baseball kid. I don't know. It reminds me of like an 8-year-old baseball kid that like just strikes out or like doesn't catch a pop fly and just like lies on the ground. I don't know. It seems like it. I don't know if you get that same vibe, but whenever I see
sometimes with some people,
whenever I see someone sit down or lie down, I think juvenile. I'm like, that's a child. That's like a way a child would react to that. I could be way off, but
Simon's got some good reactions. He's another one.
Yeah, but he also does that sit down, lay down.
Yeah,
stuff,
that's why he reminded me of it.
I hate that crap. I just think it's so juvenile.
He made that putt where then he cued the celebration for the win.
He has some great celebrations. I agree. He has some great celebrations. But yeah, next time.
And he's also vocal. If you had a mic on him,
I'll ask him why he lies down.
There's one floating around where he misses it and he goes, "You suck," and then he goes, "Sorry, sorry about that." He has some good stuff. You never know with him what's going to happen.
Okay. Do I want emotion or nah, says Jason. I do want emotion. I think lying down on your back is not necessarily emotion.
It's his first reaction, though.
I don't think that's what we're really looking for. All right. Let's see here. Last question of the night. This is a good one. Mike, you might have to come in and answer this one too. Will Niklas win his third Disc Golf Pro Tour event before Gannon wins his first this season?
I think we got to wait for the streak to end.
No, you gotta answer the question now. Who's winning? Is Niklas gonna win a third before Gannon gets his first?
Yes.
Okay, next question. Did you, before the season, have Niklas winning one, let alone two events this year? Did you think this was possible?
Yes.
Okay.
But I thought it was going to be I thought he was
Spread
more
out.
of a major guy. Like he has like something like 4 second place finishes at majors. And so I felt like the way he plays, and we're seeing it, the way he plays, like the perfection that he plays with, and the no emotion, the kind of killer instinct that I've seen in him, that seems like a major guy. You know what I mean?
Edwin just said Gannon will win his third before Niklas wins his third. Wow.
I'm only saying that because I know we're playing Kansas City, and Kansas City is a very wooded track.
I don't think Niklas is playing it.
Oh, well, then I take it back. Then no.
I think he's done so for a little bit. Yeah, I think he's headed back home.
Wow. Well, then why didn't I have that information before I made this?
I don't know.
Well, he's just not playing the rest of the year. So trick question. Nice.
Well, here's a question. Like,
Gannon's going to win before him. I thought that this next tournament would be perfect for Niklas.
I think it would be too. Wouldn't it be crazy to see if Niklas has the season that Gannon had last year?
Yeah,
that'd be wild to see.
That'd be crazy.
That I would not have seen coming.
I mean, already
be that consistent.
Already, Gannon's kind of cooked for a season last year. He'd have to go on a crazy.
Well, I mean, there's 4 events,
8 wins. He did 8.
What if he just wins every major too? If he wins every major, his season this year is going to be better than last year.
Well, sure, but I mean, so if Niklas, let's say nobody won any tournament, and then the guy won all 4 tournaments, like there's always going to be a debate of.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, for sure. It's gonna be fun though. I love the way it's panning out. This is exactly what disc golf needs.
Yes.
It needs more and more people getting into the mix, being able to win. You're obviously always going to have those top dog guys that just stand ahead and above everyone else. But now we're starting to see more and more guys, creep in and have a chance. And all this means now is like, let's make these courses harder.
I think if Niklas isn't switching his flight to stay here for Kansas City, he's a wild man. I think
he's gone already.
When you're playing good, you don't skip.
He might just want to. This might. Hey,
I've told you this.
You gotta remember, he's got a girlfriend.
What happened when Kristin left?
He's got a girlfriend.
What happened when Kristin left? A bunch of other people started eating.
He's got a girlfriend. He's got to go see the girlfriend. Yeah, he's got the money. He's got the
cash.
He's got the funds to fly.
Or do you not agree with me? I think this is huge in sports, especially golf.
Yeah, I mean,
like when you're playing good in like on the PGA Tour. When you're playing good.
No, I agree. But yeah, I don't. It's the Kansas City wide open though.
He's playing. They just played in a slush factory.
I know, but it's like
I
know it's not a big tournament, right?
When you're playing good, you don't stop. You just keep going as much as you can.
We'll see. Well, I don't know. I just think he has this. He had a plan and he's sticking to it.
Okay, let me ask you this:
he had a plan.
If Gannon wins, do you think that Niklas comes back and then just beats Gannon?
I don't think Gannon, or do you think winning is going to like unlock something in Gannon?
No, how are you serious? You don't think that if Gannon wins, it's more likely that then he wins again?
No. I think every week
that's crazy, dude.
I think he's the favorite.
That's insane.
I think he's the favorite every week. Like if he doesn't win next week, I still think he's the favorite the following week. No? Am I crazy?
Sure, but I think the odds of him winning and then winning again right away is way better.
Yeah, I don't know. I
guess called momentum for a reason. Why
I know,
are we even
but like I don't
about
know
this. Like it's like not a thing.
Well, I'm talking like it because this is why is because I think obviously in like certain sporting events, yes, there is momentum. Like if you don't make 3 shots and the other team makes 3 threes in a row, all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, like this is scary. This team's feeling it, but like. In disc golf,
we just saw it. Niklas just won, and then he won the next time he played.
I don't think it's necessary.
You think if he doesn't win that, then he wins this one?
But like momentum in like a football and basketball game or an ultimate frisbee game or anything like that, when it's like a specific game, momentum is something that it doesn't really exist. It's like this imaginary thing. It's now all of a sudden you are running
I mean,
faster.
100% exists. It's confidence. That's all it is.
That's what I'm saying. It's an imagine. It's not like a skill level is all of a sudden you are now better than you were. It's this imaginary thing that is making you play with more confidence,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that I don't think that goes into the following tournament. Like, I think right now,
that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right now, he's throwing really well. His putt is really, really good. There's a chance 3 or 4 days from now, something weird happens and he doesn't feel good about his putt and he goes in. And even though he's won the last 2 events, he's like, my putt sucks all of a sudden. That's just something that happens.
It's more likely to happen if he didn't win. It's more likely that happens if he didn't win. If you win back-to-back times, you're not going to go into a tournament being like, my putt's bad, I'm probably going to win. He just shot 2 under par, was in 29th place. He doesn't come back and win the tournament if he didn't win the weekend before. Guaranteed. That's just not a real thing. We're literally saying the same thing. It's more confidence. More confidence breeds more success. I don't care if you're playing hopscotch. If you have won one time ever, then you win, and then you win again, the likelihood of you winning again after that is way higher.
Yeah, all I can do is I'm going off of myself, and it's like if
can't. You go off of sports and what you know in sports.
I'm going off of myself and playing in sports. If I was showing up to a tournament in Ultimate Frisbee and I knew we had the best team, it didn't matter what we did the week before.
No, I'm not talking about yourself. Just analyze sports in general.
I'm just analyzing myself, though. Like
I know that's why you're off.
I'm telling you what's in my head.
You're off right now.
I don't care if a team beat us the week before. If I know we're better than them, if we show up, like it doesn't matter whether we beat them or not.
No, it does. If you've never beat a team and they keep beating your butt over and over and over again.
But if you know that you're better than them.
And they keep beating you over and over, the confident level goes down, Brody. If you beat them finally, that's when you break off the ceiling.
Okay.
And
no,
then
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. It's going to be really frustrating of like, how do we keep losing to this team when we know we're better than
100%.
them? For sure. But my mindset always going into the game
was that you're going to win, of course.
We can beat these guys. Now, when the going goes bad and stuff starts going bad, yes, I agree. Then it's really easy to fall in the mindset of like, oh gosh, here we go again. Like this team is going to beat us again and we're better than them. I agree. That's tougher to snap out of it. My guess is just like going into it, I just always thought like, this is our time.
That's the way you got to think, yes. But it's easier when you win. And you win a lot.
It's me, JP says, Brody, get good at disc golf, then give your opinion. Why are you on this podcast? Why are you on this podcast? And first off, I got 1,000 rated in less than a year. So you over there probably are dreaming of being 1,000 rated. I think that's stupid. I got it in less than a year, brother, with my right pinky toe. Gosh, dang, dude, some of these comments are hilarious. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Like right now, trust me, he wishes the next tournament was a major because he's playing the best disc golf right now than everyone. All I'm saying is like,
take a week off.
What happens if eat? But what happens if all of a sudden Isaac suddenly gets it going?
For example, Brody, here's my last. Here's my
Mike,
last. This is my last point before Mike's in here.
I want Mike to research something while you're giving this point.
Okay,
Mike, what was Isaac's finishes the tournament before Worlds the last 2 years? What was his finishes the tournament before Worlds the last 2 years? Go ahead, Yuli.
Okay, here's the thing. Let's say the NBA, for example. This happens all the time. Players close to win, a team's close to winning, their best player gets to the playoff, he gets injured, they lose. Okay? Hear
You
me
said
out.
his best player gets injured. They're not the same team. What?
I know. I know.
Okay.
They get squashed in the championships.
Okay.
Okay. They come back the next year and they have to play a team who just won the championship. Do you think said team is easier or harder to beat, even though they have a healthier player?
Oh, no, I agree with you. Yes, it is tough
because
to beat
they're
a
the
team that-
champs.
it's a tough to beat a team that you've never beaten. Yes, I agree.
So Niklas, thank you,
Yeah.
wins back to back. He leaves for a week. Gannon wins. They then play each other. They're both playing with more confidence. Is it Gannon going to be harder to beat or easier to beat? I know he's the number one player, but if you let the guy eat, you're going to be playing with the guy who's the best player in the world who now just won.
I feel like if I'm Gannon, though, I'm just thinking.
I know
like,
you don't. I'm saying.
I'm thinking in my head
in
like
gen-
this
in
shot
general.
went bad, this putt went bad, or I'd have like 2 wins right now.
Yes, he's got to think that, and he let Niklas win. Who's gaining confidence? He
So,
let Niklas eat.
Mike, what do we have? Yeah, if you
Yeah,
can
so
tell me
2020, 2024.
before and afterwards, actually.
Yeah,
You can get afterwards.
2024, he took 6th at Ledgestone, 4th at Idlewild, and then won Worlds. And then he got 2nd at Great Lakes and 2nd at a Q Series.
Oh, well, all of a sudden he's
Okay.
on fire, kind of.
And then-
Your point's right there. Your point's right.
And then the year before that, he got 3rd at Idlewild, 7th at D-Glow, and then won Worlds, and then got 3rd at USDGC.
Third?
It's pretty good.
Dang. Okay.
So
So
But-
stats look like it's going.
The
Stats
reason-
look like it's going Yuli's way.
the
here.
reason I hopped on, Yuli, is what if Anttila really wants to win a major, and so he's skipping Kansas City
Oh.
to avoid losing his touch?
That would be the craziest thing ever. But I'm down with that for sure. If that's actually what he's thinking, I wouldn't play again until the major then.
Yeah, he's waiting. He's waiting for
Yeah,
the
I'm
major
taking
so
this
that he can
momentum.
come in to the momentum for the major.
I think it's hard because
I
Gannon,
like that. I like that though. That could
Gannon
be it.
is playing pretty much the same as he was last year, other than the wins so far, obviously. But last year, 6 of his 9 wins were within 2 strokes, like first and second were within 2 strokes. So I think part of this might just be the variance. Obviously, if you're good at winning, you find ways to win more than other people, right? But there were so many things done by other people in those events that could have made him get second instead of first. And so those 9 wins just feel really big, when in reality, I can think off the top of my head like 3 or 4 of them that the other player on 17 or 18 made a bogey or silly mistake that maybe he has 5 or 6 wins last year, and now it's kind of a different conversation. So for me, the fact that he's averaging 5th in finishing, and he was 4th last year, so he's pretty much consistency wise playing the same. So with Anttila having 2 wins and then 2 basically not great, not even top 15 performances, I think Anttila still needs to prove that he's going to stick around before we.
Anttila doesn't have to prove anything.
Here's
ever.
the thing.
Is he going to go 40th next
He
week?
went bad performance, win.
You
Bad
ready?
performance. It wasn't like he went win, bad performance, win.
Right.
There's a big difference.
That's true.
Okay, you ready for the take of the night?
Oh, good.
You ready for the take of the night?
Yeah.
Here's the take of the night. Disc golf doesn't have defenders. No one is stopping you from being able to do what you want to do. Okay?
Left yourself.
But yeah, sure. Mental, sure. Also, disc golf is a pretty fairly easy sport. It really is. It's not a sport, other than the handful of people that we have seen that just like have the yips putting, which I don't know who on the MPO side has that. If someone wants to list any names, we've seen it on the
Goose?
MPO. But he's never been a good putter.
Oh, I
wasn't-
got what you're saying.
It wasn't like he was a good putter and then like went to being
I'll push back. I think he was a good putter when he was playing well, and then got it towards the end, and then missed towards the end. Because you don't just get into contention missing every putt. I remember him making a lot of good putts, and then it was like the final day, all of a sudden it
I
left.
feel like ever since I've known, maybe that might be a little a little more accurate, but it's more rare in NPO than it is FPO. But my point is the way the way that disc golf is currently set up, if you're really freaking good at it, you're going to play really well the majority of the time. And what I think it really boils down to, like in Gannon's case, Gannon is the best disc golfer right now in the world. I think what it really boils down to is a couple tree kicks, a couple skip shots, the wind lifts this putt. Like, I think really that's what it boils down to with whether or not Gannon wins, is a couple weird stuff that can happen because disc golf is fluky. I think that's really what it boils down to. Because I think if you put Gannon on a course where there was zero flukiness, like everyone had zero flukiness Matty rankings, I think Gannon wins almost every single time. You don't really see a tournament where Gannon's like shanking shots and missing
He hasn't
shots.
putted. He hasn't putted well this season compared.
He has putted well.
No, you're wrong.
He has putted well. He has.
No, not compared. I'm comparing him to him. No.
But what I'm saying is like there's not big swings where like on golf not only plays on extremely challenging courses, but the sport itself is extremely tough. That is why how many times, Yuli, throughout the season do you see guys post, hey, working on a new swing, hey, working on a new putt, hey, working on a new movement, a new run up, a new step.
I don't know. Why would they post that?
Golfers do that all the time. Golfers talk about that all the time because
they have swing coaches.
That's my point. Is basketball, you don't really ever hear guys saying like, "Yeah, I'm changing the way."
Hey, look at the stat below. Gannon 11th in C1, 46th in C2, which is crazy. Last year he was the number 1 C2 putter in the world.
It's been windy.
It was windy last year.
It's been windy.
It's always windy in Texas.
It's been windy. But my point is like in basketball, guys aren't in the middle of the season changing their shot, right? They're sticking with their shot. They might be repping more, but they're sticking with their shot. In golf, guys are constantly being like, I'm trying to find a new swing thought. I'm trying to feel something, right? Because it's such a hard game. I think disc golf, you don't, like once you have the way you throw, like that's your way you throw. You're not really changing it throughout the season. Very few people ever do that. And so that's why I'm just saying, like, I think Gannon, really the reason why he's not winning here and there, I think it's just small little things.
It's his putting.
that aren't going his way.
I just told you. If he puts like this.
Give me how many? Give me how many? How many C2 putts has he missed? Give me numbers.
Edwin, I need you here
what?
to prove my point.
Is he 2 for 10, Yuli?
He's missing a lot. I watch. Here's the thing.
Z Hutch says he keeps losing chalk bags. He can't putt without them.
I watch more coverage and analyze more coverage than dang near.
Oh, he's playing like crap.
Everybody.
Oh, he's putting like crap.
Okay, because I'm there on the Jomez doing it after every single round. So I get to see him.
He's putting like crap. 15 for 63. That's really bad.
That's from circle 2.
That's really bad.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
So let me tell you. Now, what about the last year? What was
Maybe it's the flukiness, Yuli. Maybe he's got a lot of putts where he's got trees in front of him.
I mean,
he's got no look at the basket.
No, he's throwing the disc great. His putting's not the same. Same with McBeth. Putting not the same over the last few years.
Shout out to Dondo Disc Golf. He says, if Abby went on this pod, it would get national publicity. False. Dudes in disc golf are afraid to speak up because they are muzzled by manufacturers in fear of Disc Golf Pro Tour and PDGA. Dondo, I'm not afraid of anything, brother, and I'll talk about whatever I want. Go back and watch the 5,000 podcasts. I've already talked about this. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
So, Abby's in the chat. Fantastic. Great. Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, I've already said exactly how I feel in the situation. There's not anything else I can say. I mean, what do you want me to do? This is why I say, like, am I supposed to? We're getting a little off topic here, Yuli, to finish off the pod, but I do want to say this because I thought this was kind of interesting. Am I supposed to tweet out every day, I am not racist? in order to not be racist? Do I have to say that every single day on Twitter? Because if I don't say it on every day on Twitter, are people going to think I'm racist because I didn't say it? Like I that's what I'm just saying. Like I don't see the point when people come after you to be like, it's like I've already talked about it. I've already said what my thoughts on it. I don't know what else. I don't know what else you want from us. You know, someone's saying, look at her comment. Let me see this comment. Hold on. Did you see it come in, Mike? I didn't even see it. I'm gonna have Mike find it because I don't even know where it is. I can't see it. Ron says, but she hasn't. It's not always about you. What do you want us to do? Oh, we didn't have correct info. Oh. What info did we have incorrect? Well, shoot. Should we get her to come on real quick, Yuli? What are your thoughts? What's your time situation?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Mike, can you try get in contact with her and see if we can get her a link real quick and we'll have her come on? If there's info that's being spread that's incorrect,
Yeah, that's false.
Then yes, let's get her on. That's fine. Yeah. There you go.
Meanwhile, Edwin, did you pull those stats?
Hey, Yuli, hand up. Dead wrong. Gannon's putting like crap from C2. I might need to ask him what's going on because the Gannon I've watched, I haven't seen that much of that. So maybe a lot of that's not on coverage or a lot of that is just not being shown. Gary said he's going to make a mountain based on player emotion.
I like that.
Oh, that's funny. All right, we're going to try to get her on, try to get Abby on the pod. Because again, here's the thing.
We don't want to spread like stuff that's not true.
Absolutely. We don't want to say anything that's not true. It was a big storyline. I felt like we talked about it. I felt like we covered it. But it's just like there's certain things that people just want to like continue to hammer and hammer and hammer and hammer. And it's like, I don't know what else you want people to do. Because like I feel like the Pro Tour's made it very clear, like there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, there's nothing they could do, and they did everything they could. They did, and they were on the side of we're gonna try to not let Natalie play, and we're gonna do everything in our power to do so. And that's what happened. And then they went to court and they tried their best, and then the courts decided like that's what happens in law.
Yeah, and the thing is she has every right to protest. She has every right to drop out of the tournament. She has every right to do any of that stuff she wants to do. The thing is, unfortunately, like how many people do you need to do that for there to be a change? Like I think Natalie's going to play in tournaments that Natalie's allowed to play in.
100%.
So like I just think it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, I don't know. You know, I wish I don't know if that would change. What would change if Kristin, let's say Kristin, Holland, Owen, Ella, Paige, Kat, let's say all those girls all said, you know what, we're protesting, we're not going to play this tournament. Does anything change?
I don't know. I don't know how the law works, because that's where it would have to change. That's what it comes down to is what's the law, what are the rules, and who's in charge of that.
Well, I think the law right now says that Natalie can play.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so how do you fix that? That's where now if nobody plays, then maybe you expedite whatever the law is, like, or I believe it's like an ongoing thing.
I just don't think the Disc Golf Pro Tour can like do that. That's what I'm saying. I think the Pro Tour needs it to happen from like
up.
Yeah,
up the ladder.
up. Yeah. Yeah, like they tried, and they literally were going to bankrupt the entire pro tour.
Of course, and so that's what I'm saying. So if they didn't play,
Cody
would
says
that
it has to be handed down by the Supreme Court.
the Supreme Court's as high as pretty much you can go. So
Yeah,
how do you get the Supreme Court to
and
listen?
And ultimately, let's be real here for a second, because I'm not trying to downplay anyone's like actions, but let's be real. Like if all the FPO players were boycotting and not playing it, I don't. Does the Supreme Court look at that and be like, we need to make a decision on this? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Oh, what do we got, Mike?
She didn't respond, but I pulled back her chat, so I can just tell you what she did put in the chat.
Is she Abby? Are you no longer with us? Is she gone? Did she just pop in and say something and leave?
So
She could be busy.
I'll keep an eye and see if she responds. But she did
You
say
you can't just expect somebody to be like, oh yeah, I'll 2 minutes.
Well, it seemed like everyone wanted her to come on. I didn't know if that's because she wanted to come on.
I'm not sure. She didn't message specifically she wanted to come on. The comment she left was that she wanted to give information. She was scheduled to be on the card with Natalie at 8 a.m. She was worried about her safety. She asked to have a different tee time and be switched to the MPO division, or to be given a refund, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour refused. So that is.
Oh, she's still here. Abby, we're trying to get you on the podcast.
I messaged you on Instagram, Abby, if you want to try.
Abby, our producer Mike here messaged you on Instagram, so check your Instagram DMs, and we can get you on here if you want to talk.
Give us the correct information. So
it starts with protest. Look at what Riley Gaines was able to do. Who's Riley Gaines?
That's swimming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when you said would that move the needle, that's why I was like, I don't know.
But also swimming has like a lot more money than disc golf does,
and eyeballs probably.
And eyeballs. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real. It sucks that like there's probably a lot of things in our country where if you don't have money, you're going to have a much harder time fighting something.
Big time.
Someone that's got tons of money can almost like bankrupt you just by having you go through all the loops, and then you just can't fight it because you're running out of money because lawyers aren't cheap. So, you know, SBGFL says we got a ton of eyeballs now. SBG, I think the eyeballs, again, I think a lot of what these political people do is I think they use certain things for like their own motives. So like I don't think they necessarily really care about disc golf. They just see disc golf as a way that they can use to weaponize their agenda, their political affiliation, all that. That's what I saw. Because like these people aren't going to come out to a disc golf tournament and protest. Like these random people that are tweeting about this and all this stuff, you know, they're just.
Well, we don't know that. Maybe. It didn't look like there was any, but the weather was kind of bad.
Brody hardly pays attention to female disc golf. He's not paying attention to female sports. Well, I'm not paying attention to female swimming. You are correct on that, Dylan. Female swimming is not on my radar, brother. All right, he says he's in contact, so this looks like it's happening. Fun fact, if Gannon putted from C1X and C2 in 2025, the exact same as 2024, he goes into a playoff with Niklas at MCO. He wins Austin by 2 strokes over Niklas. He finished second at Waco by 1 stroke. Oh, there you go. Saddest part of this is how many awesome women are in disc golf, Kristin, etc. The way they deal with this BS is so commendable. What is on Brody's radar? My wife. Brody would be a great female swimmer. No, I'm actually terrible at swimming. I do not float. Riley has been in front of Congress multiple times, Brody. Oh, very nice, Ron. I like Disc Golf Underground. I like where it's at too. It's a fine line. No swimming trick shots. I did do was it with a swimming team? I can't remember, but it was like in a swimming facility and people were like jumping off like the high dive and catching frisbees. That was pretty cool. I can't remember where that was. Some college or something way back. I don't even know what video that was, but that was fun. It's kind of like the only, you can't really do swimming trick shots. You can kind of do like diving trick shots, I guess.
Yeah, a little double flip.
No, I would
into
never.
into a no splash, into a catch no splash.
I've never been. That's one thing I've never been is like a crazy extreme sports person. Like I don't think I've ever done a backflip into a pool. No, like the craziest thing I'll do is like a gainer, which I don't even know if that's really.
That's a backflip.
No, a gainer isn't. Oh no, not a gainer. What's the one leg?
Cannonball or something?
No, one leg. Cannonball's two legs. What's the one leg? That's the craziest thing I'll go into a pool.
Wow.
Is a cannonball one? Is that not a gain? It's not a gainer.
What about just a straight dive?
Can opener. I got a nasty can opener. Yes, thank you, Chad. Thank you.
What about like just a straight diver? Head first. Would you do that? Or you even no, thank you.
Like just straight from, even with the water.
Like you're here and then you just dive in there.
Yeah. If I'm like swimming laps,
you'll just straight in.
If I'm like trying,
does that get you like a little crazy? Are you like, whoa, this is kind of scary?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not jumping and diving into a pool with no problem. Yeah, pencil diver for sure, Jared. Love the pencil diver. People are saying the Gannon ball, jackknife. Yeah, no, it's a jackknife.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Wait, what's a can opener? Everyone said can opener. It's a jackknife.
It could be both.
Is that just is that just depending on where you are? You call it
Maybe.
one thing versus another? Oh, a gainer is running forward and doing a backflip.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I would never do that.
You're like, I won't even do a backflip, but I do gainers.
No, I would never.
Like super crazy.
See, I hung out with a bunch of people that did that crazy stuff.
I'm with you, dude. I'm not an extreme dude where I'm like jumping off cliffs and doing the thing.
You get me on like a skateboard, super uncomfortable.
See, I can do a little bit of that stuff, but I'm not like
you'd go down a ramp. Like
I used to skate. Yeah.
Jeez.
I used to do it. I could drop into a 12-footer. Do the
I don't
thing.
I don't think I've ever done an ollie on a skateboard. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done an ollie.
Now my big bro, professional BMXer, he was crazy, flipping and twirling and whipping, and he was crazy. Yeah,
that's sick. I did some stuff with the X Games, and I was able to like get up on some like the big air where they do like the huge drop in. No,
it's wild.
You couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me to do it. Oh,
All
all right. What do we got?
We've got her, so I'll drop her in.
Oh, sweet. Perfect. Mike the GOAT.
Nice job, Mike.
She's doing audio only.
Okay, that's fine. Can you hear us?
Abby, looks like you're muted.
Hey there, how's it going, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for hopping on last minute here. Well, first off, I want to apologize if we did get any information incorrect. We definitely did not want to do that, but glad that you could hop on and kind of set the record straight then.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I watch you guys every week, so it's nice just to kind of be able to get involved this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really the way I wanted to do it, but I guess that's what we're doing. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So Music City last year was my first event. I had a partial tour card. And that's when we got like the threat of violence during the tournament, and we had to stop play. So since that point, there's just been a constant level of vigilance and anxiety that goes along with that. I'm sure every player feels that way now. So this year, my first event of the season was going to be Music City Open again. And when I got put on the card with Natalie Ryan, I've played with Natalie before, and it's been totally fine. And I'm very respectful and polite to everyone I play with. I don't try to cause any trouble. But for this particular tournament, it started with me feeling very uncomfortable because I knew that there was some planned protests against Natalie, and it's unfortunate for everybody. And I just felt very unsafe to be on the card, let alone on the course. So I contacted multiple people from the Pro Tour. Eventually I got a hold of someone the following day after the 2 tee times were posted. And I just really wanted to get an earlier tee time. There's a 740 tee time available with only 3 players on it. And I thought, hey, let's just see if they will switch me to that. I'm still going to be uncomfortable to be on the course with the planned protest, but at least I'll feel like a little bit safer not to be on the same card. And that, I asked that, and that's all I asked, and they refused. So then I was like, okay, well, how about you guys just move me to the MPO division? And they refused. During that conversation, I was told that I misgendered a player, and that if I did that again, I would be there would be disciplinary action taken, and that
You're
he was
saying
going
you're saying during the discussion of trying to change tee times, you misgendered Natalie Ryan in that conversation?
Correct. Which I
Okay.
was then told that he was going to pretend he didn't hear me say that, and that could be a how do I say it? Disciplinary action would be taken. I don't remember his exact words at this point, but
Who were you speaking with? Is this
a Disc Golf Pro Tour staff member. I don't
Okay.
want to give out
That's
anybody's
fine.
names.
Yeah, I was just seeing who, like, how far up the chain it was, because, like, is that have you heard of anything like that?
Of like what?
I haven't heard or seen anything saying, like, if you misgender someone that they're going to, like, that's you're not allowed
You
to do
get
that.
reprimanded.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Is that
Well, it's
did they
apparently a Pro Tour policy, which
Yeah,
I didn't know.
is
I don't
that
think you're allowed to just go around and say those things about people. No,
okay? It
on the Pro
wasn't.
Tour, yeah.
It just wasn't something I was made aware of, so I didn't know if that was something that I missed. That was like because, like, obviously that wasn't a policy at some point in time, right?
Yeah, I think compelled speech should never be a policy.
So I think it was something that was put in place at some point.
Yeah, and yeah. So, anyways, from that point, after he compelled my speech, I asked to just get a refund so I could be done with it all and not have to worry about it for that event. And he refused to do that. So at that point, I was pretty upset. I tried to stay very polite throughout our conversation. I didn't bite back when I felt like I
What time
should.
was this, real quick? Sorry, when was this conversation happening?
I believe it was. I actually have it written down. It was 10:44 a.m. on Thursday, April 3rd.
The day before the tournament.
Day before, yeah.
Okay.
And I had contacted a higher up member of the Disc Golf Pro Tour staff the night prior. Immediately after I saw my tee time, I emailed them and I asked to just be switched to a different tee time where there's an available spot. And no one responded. And I emailed another person and no one responded. So I finally called this person, hoping just to have someone hear my worries about the tournament and the safety. He was more concerned about compelling my speech than trying to listen to my safety concerns. So the next morning, I decided to show up to my tee time. When I got there, there weren't any safety precautions that he did kind of say that he was going to have, such as, like, he said they were trying to mitigate as many safety issues as possible that they could foresee, and that there would be police officers and bag checks for everyone. I got in without showing my credentials. I got into the player area without showing credentials. There weren't any police officers that I was aware of. No one introduced me to any police officers that were going to be on our cards. Apparently, there were plainclothes officers that were off duty. I would have happily had someone introduce me to those officers that were going to follow us that day, but no one did that. So I could only go by what I saw. And what I saw was nothing. They weren't concerned, in my opinion. And my
Did anyone come up to you from the Disc Golf Pro Tour that day?
Yes, there was the person I talked to on the phone came up to me and gave me my credentials because they had closed the course the day prior for practice, so I wasn't able to get my new updated credentials for the season.
Okay.
I did offer to show them my ID when I was trying to enter the parking lot, and they said no, it's fine. But anyways, I digress. When I talked to that staff member that morning, he just handed me my credentials and walked away. So he didn't try to introduce me to anybody or tell me the precautions that they were taking that day. So at that point, I knew I just couldn't play. It wasn't worth it.
So this was almost, it sounds like this was two. If I'm hearing this right, it sounds like it was almost like two parts. One, obviously, with what you said on the tee pad about feeling like it's not fair to have to play against Natalie Ryan in your same division, but also it sounds like there's a secondary part too, where you didn't feel safe. You didn't feel like the Disc Golf Pro Tour did everything they said they were going to do for you that day. So it was like, it wasn't just Natalie playing, but also the safety factor and the stuff that you kind of, the threats that were thrown out last year kind of, roll over obviously into the same tournament this year. So those two things basically made your decision to, not play that event.
Absolutely. So yeah, the safety not being taken seriously, then the compelled speech. And then I do agree that the female protected division should be protected. But I'm happy to put that, I was happy to put that aside. I was just going to keep my head down. But when someone starts to tell me that my speech has to be compelled and that my safety doesn't matter to them, and they're showing me that by their actions and their words, I'm not going to put my money into that company. I'm not going to put my time and energy into a company that's not willing to support their players.
Yeah, it's the speech thing is tough for me because on one side, I'm not a huge fan of people. You can see when people are saying it maliciously and they're trying to say it to hurt the person's feelings, get under the person's skin, or excite some sort of emotion in other people.
Absolutely.
I'm not a huge fan of those people that do it, but then there's also the other side of where it's like, I just don't believe that. This is my belief. I believe that if you're born a female, you're a female. If you're born a male, you're a male. And so I'm just not going to jump into that line of thinking. And so like that's where it's tough for me because obviously there's one side where I'm like, I'm in my situation, this is like, I wish it was civil. I mean, I'm shout out to our chat because at least our chat is somewhat civil, actually doing a pretty good job where if you go on YouTube while FPO is playing, they can't have live chat because it's really bad. People get really bad where at least people are allowed to say a civil, say it in a way to where it's not exciting violence or trying to get people upset or anything like that. They're just saying their opinions, right?
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
And I typically just try to address someone by their name so I don't have to worry about pronouns.
Yep.
Because my ideas and ideologies and politics aside, like I don't ever want to hurt anybody. I just want to play disc golf and I want to feel safe on the course.
Yeah.
And if I have a concern for my safety and other safety, I just can't stand for that. And then also being told how I can speak, especially when I'm not being hateful to anyone. I'm
wondering if it's because of the lawsuit going on.
It might be, and I don't know everything behind it.
Because Natalie's playing in the division, I'm sure it would be tough to play with competitors and then for them to misgender what your views are. And because of the lawsuit, they probably had to have some rules in place, is what I'm guessing.
Sure, but I don't want to like talk by feeling, but from what I gathered, he was more concerned about sharing his ideology with me and his thoughts and feelings on the matter rather than listening to a player with real concerns.
Let's move a little bit to the safety stuff because I do find this to be a very tricky situation, right? Something that we've talked about a bunch on this podcast is the fact that there are so many people that simply do not have the funds to tour. Like we're seeing more and more players not tour this year because the funds are just not there. It doesn't make sense to do that. So what we're trying to do is, okay, how do we get more money into the purses? How do we get people paid more? And obviously that's cutting costs that make no sense or don't have a return on investment. Obviously that's also trying to get more fans, trying to sell more advertising, all those things. So something that you bring up, safety is a huge, huge thing. And I think one of the things that really hurt disc golf in the beginning was when the Pro Tour had to look at the safety side and say to themselves, hey, we can't just have people show up at a park anymore and play disc golf. We actually need to start having ropes separating players from fans. We need to start having a spot that players can warm up that isn't where fans can't walk to. We need to have security. We need to do, and when they start having to do all that, that's a lot of expense that is going to that. And so where I am with you in the sense of like, in a situation like this, should we have had a crazy amount of security out there? Sure. I would love to see that if we had a crazy funds of like overflow amount of money. How does that work though if, let's say, $10,000 is getting pulled out of the purse because it had to go to security? Is that something that's possible for disc golf to continue down the road if that's what they have to do?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just play disc golf.
And and you want to feel safe when you do it.
Yeah, no,
I don't know about
absolutely.
their policies for safety. I just want to throw plastic at chains, and I want to share my love for disc golf with everyone. And I don't know what kind of policies they have to make, and I don't know what kind of security measures they have to take, but I do know that if we don't protect our players and we don't feel safe on the course, then you're not going to have a tour. And I also know that if we don't protect the female divisions, we're not going to end up with a female division. That's going to go away if we don't protect it.
Almost did.
Yeah. I said this a few episodes ago on our other podcast where I said being a female on the tour is actually I think one of the reasons why we're not really seeing the FPO division grow as fast as the MPO division, as far as like just the field size, but also like the talent pool. We're not seeing more, women that might have other background coming into disc golf that we see in the MPO side, is how hard it has to be touring as an FPO player. Like if you don't have a family member touring with you, if you don't have a husband touring with you or a significant other, or if you don't make a boyfriend that plays MPO and you're just solo dolo out in the tour, like, I don't know if I would want my daughter to do that. I feel like that would be very scary. Like these people are living in their vans in parking lots. Like you said, like, I'm sure you've probably have seen it too. Like some of the parking lots aren't super security. Like,
I've slept in those parking lots by myself for months.
It's a scary thing.
And if you're as a female on tour who tours by themselves most of the time, like you're constantly feeling a sense of anxiety, and that's something you have to learn to live with, and you have to learn to protect yourself, and you have to learn to pay attention to these bad situations that you might put yourself in, and you have to negate those things from happening. So you grow a lot when you're on tour as a female and you're solo most of the time. The last thing you want to do is to have your head on a swivel during a tournament round when you're supposed to be just focused on each shot.
And I think that's where it's challenging for me to put myself in the disc golf pro tour shoes, because it's like, okay, we want FPO players to make more money so they can get Airbnbs, they can get hotels, they don't have to sleep in their vehicles in parking lots, they can get in safe areas. Okay, how do we get more money into FPO? Oh, wait, we actually also need to spend a whole lot of money on security so that when they are playing, they feel safe as well. And it's like, that's where it's like, I feel like that's a really
and let's remember
task.
The Pro Tour has divvied out a lot of money for the FPO division.
Correct.
A lot. All right. Like the purses are insanely
weighted towards
different.
FPO for sure.
Weighted, yeah, compared to when there was no Pro Tour. Yeah.
So like I think that ultimately is like the question that I don't think there might be even a good answer to, because you don't want anyone showing up to the course. Because I'm with you too. I saw because I was there Friday and Saturday. I want to say one day I didn't see any police officer. I think it might have been Friday. And I want to say Saturday there was a police officer in uniform at the front. Now, were they doing bag checks and stuff like that? I don't know. I didn't have a bag, so I just walked in. But yeah, you want people to feel safe when they're at the, I mean, heck.
I remember last year they did. I wasn't there this year, but I remember last year after the threats and everything that there was a pretty sizable increase in security.
Yeah, I mean, there was one cop I saw there the entire time that was in uniform. There, I didn't see
and Abigail, you were saying that they had undercover or in normal street clothes.
That's what they told me after the event, when I brought to light that I was concerned for safety. I don't know. I can only go by what I saw. And they told me afterwards that there were plainclothed officers that were off duty they were going to send one of them on the card with us, which would have been a lovely thing to know. Because I may have changed my mind, but I'm glad I stood up for females in all sports. I'm glad I stood up for my safety, and I don't regret what I did. I wish it could have gone differently, and I wish they would have taken my concerns seriously.
Yeah, the security side is yeah, you don't want players to feel unsafe. You don't, I mean, spectators too. Heck,
Absolutely.
Yeah. God forbid anything happens to a spectator while they're at an event. You don't want to see that either. So it is, I wish it was like an easier like solution of like, oh yeah, just like, it's like when Florida plays Florida State, just like every cop that's in the county shows up. You can't do that with disc golf. There's not enough money to do that. Like players would just not be making anything if all the money went to there. But then that's where it's like so tough. Like how much money do you pay for safety? But now you're taking that out of the players' pockets, and it seems like a tough situation.
And you're kind of, and you do have to sign a waiver that's being like, I am putting myself at risk to like elements out there too. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, so that I don't know if that waiver would.
Well, they never actually had me sign a waiver this year. They emailed me and said that they were going to have a waiver for me, and then they never sent it. So that was odd. But that's beside the point. If they were having, off-duty police officers on site already, why not take an extra 2 minutes to introduce me to them? Tell me what's going on.
Or at least point them out and just say like, hey, this is the guy. If you don't feel safe or if you see anything or anything like that, this is the guy. Because like, here's the thing. It's a two-sided. It's, I see where you're coming from, but also whether you agree with Natalie playing in the FPO division or not, like Natalie's dealing with the same stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's on both sides.
Yeah,
and so
it's an awful situation for everybody, Natalie Ryan included. I mean, it's not good for anyone. And I wish that there was a simpler solution. But I decided to take my stand because I couldn't continue to put my head down for so many different reasons. I believe in the protection of female rights. I believe that women should have the right to compete in a fair and competitive playing field. I believe that we have a mixed division for everyone to join in. And I believe in the safety of myself and other players. No matter what gender they are, everyone deserves the right to feel safe. And it sucks that everybody's been put in a bad situation with this, and there's not a great solution. And I don't envy the Disc Golf Pro Tour's situation, because I honestly don't know the solution to this either. I know solutions to other things that we're talking about, but not the safety aspect. I mean, we're playing in open parks in the public, area, so anybody can walk in. It's just.
And it's also a lot of land. It's also a lot of land.
A lot of land to cover. So.
I think too, like leaving this, the one thing that I have like as a still question is this new policy? First off, when did this new policy come into play? And is that directly related to the ongoing lawsuits or the ongoing court cases that is happening with Natalie and the Disc Golf Pro Tour? Because if that's the case, I think I'm okay with it. I think it makes sense as far as like, hey, it's the law. You can say it sucks. There's a lot of laws out there that I'm sure people don't agree with, but at least that's like, it's coming down from, someone above the Disc Golf Pro Tour, right? Now, if the Disc Golf Pro Tour just said, hey, this is what we think and this is what you guys all have to abide by, I think that's something that maybe we can push back on.
From my understanding, he said it was a Disc Golf Pro Tour policy.
See, like that to me is like,
yeah, but then again, it might have to do something. We might just have to have Jeff come on.
I think we might have Jeff come on,
because that would, to me, logically, that would be something like all this stuff. My brain goes straight to the lawsuit. Like that would make sense, so that you're not held accountable for these certain things, because it is a big lawsuit and spent a lot of money on it already.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I appreciate you guys hearing me.
I do
just share the facts and everything. Yeah, what's up?
I do have one more question. Did you talk to them after like everything about like, did they like contact you about your protest, or has it just been you've
Radio
gotten
silence.
like radio silence?
No, they did reach out to me. I think, what did they say? Sorry, everything's been kind of crazy.
No, you're good. Take your time. Take your time.
They contacted me to share the safety precautions they took.
Okay.
But I would like to keep a lot of that confidential between me and them. And they did offer me a refund at that point, which I decided I'm going to not be on tour this year. I'm going to wait for things for policies to change. And that's unfortunate because I've been working so hard for this, but I think we've left it on a very respectable note with each other and hoping that we can just help each other in the future. But at this point, I'm just going to bow out for a while and just try to help advocate for female protection in sports at this point.
I guess two things. One, what are other things that people can do to kind of help that? Because that's something that, I struggle with. It's like, I've said my stance on it. I've said what I believe. I said what I think is like the obvious thing of like, if we have divisions, then clearly there's a reason we have divisions.
Mm-hmm.
What more can people do, I guess, if they are trying to help, protect women's sports?
Well, I think for disc golf specifically, everyone could contact the PDGA and see what we can do to start changing these gender eligibility policies. That would be a start. I guess maybe getting leagues that are female protected for females only, that are biologically female at birth, get to play in these female divisions. And then just standing up against, when non-biological females are playing in a sport, in a female protected division, stand up for it, against it. Speak why this isn't safe, this isn't fair, that women deserve the right to compete on a competitive level with fairness. Because we've fought so hard as women to have rights in this country. And we are just throwing it away if we allow men to come into our divisions.
Last thing, a lot of people in the chat want to find a way to support you. Obviously, you're not touring this year, but is there some way that people can kind of support you to maybe help you out next year touring? What are ways that people can do that?
Well, I'm very grateful for everybody who's offered to help. I'm respectfully declining any money at this time. I don't think that's right. But I guess just email the PDGA if you want to help protect women in our divisions. Share your thoughts, see what we can do to help change it, and advocate for the women in your life who are going through this.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on last minute to kind of say exactly what went down. And we appreciate it. And we hope you the best this year. I know that kind of sucks that you're not going to be touring, and it seems like you have put in a lot of work for it, but hopefully you can come back next year and we'll see you out there.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. There you guys have it. Yeah, man, when you really start thinking about it, it really is just a sucky situation.
Yeah.
Really.
No, it is. No, I can see how putting yourself in that situation can be completely scary. And it sounds like maybe she just got in contact with the wrong person, you know.
Kind of goes back to that communication we've talked about.
Exactly, to where sounds like this whole thing could have been avoided. Not that it should have been avoided, but could have been avoided by them being like, oh, we're going to have security that we hired and undercover security, and we should have officers there at some point. I mean, that could have gone a long way, but it didn't. And yeah, I mean, it's hard. Really what it comes down to is, I guess I could put myself in a position of just being at the tournament and it not being safe like last year. It was weird going to the tournament with some sort of threats. You know what I mean? And that's for the whole tournament in general. That's kind of a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
And you kind of just have to compartmentalize it and then move on and be like, all right, I guess we're good now that they say we're good. But I think just in general, as athletes, when people watch you play, there's going to be some level of uncertainty as far as like safety procedures. Because we see people running out on soccer fields all the time, or people running out on the court or whatever, you know, like that stuff happens at live events.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter how much security you have at a soccer field when the guy's running around and you have like 3 or 4 security chasing them. So, but as far as like violent threats, there's no place for it. And that's terrifying. And I just want people to, like I said before, if you disagree, protest peacefully.
Mike, you got anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I think the thing to remember is that I'm not sure the PDGA is the right. I mean, this is an opinion, but the PDGA probably isn't the right people to be upset about this, if that's your thought on it. Obviously, we all know the lengths they went to try to do what they wanted to do in the past, and it obviously didn't work out, and it cost them a lot of money. So it might just be the reality of this or no FPO at all. So
right, which I said, and I want to make sure that I wasn't like misrepresenting the situation when I said we almost lost the FPO division. It wasn't for the opposite. It was because they fought it.
Yeah.
And that's why it almost went away. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's a really tough spot that, like you're saying, the PDGA and the Pro Tour, they're partners. It's not just the Pro Tour. They're partnered with the PDGA.
And I'm not sure
capacity.
I'm not sure if it's continuing to happen this year. I don't know the legislation for each state, but at least in the past, and I think maybe right now, it's kind of becoming a state-to-state thing where Natalie's playing in some states and some not, depending on what the decisions are made in that state. So again, obviously everyone's welcome to their own opinion, but putting the frustration towards, and in this situation, if the communication was wrong, and you can have frustration with PGA for that. But in terms of the bigger picture, I feel like it might be a bit unfair given that they did attempt to do something prior. So
yeah, man, it is kind of.
I don't think they have the power to just be right now to just be like, okay, nope, this is the new policy. Like it has to go to the Supreme Court, like we said before. So the PDGA is kind of handcuffed, and the Pro Tour is kind of handcuffed as far as what they can do, I believe. So I'm with you on that.
I'm just glad I'm not in politics. I don't know how these people do this because, like, man, there's like this is like probably obviously the biggest political thing that disc golf has, and it is like it's not enjoyable to talk about. It's really a downer because like it's a lose for everyone. Like everyone's losing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just start thinking about other things in politics, and you're just like, dude, like I don't know how those people do it. I don't know how they wake up every day and talk about politics and all that stuff, because like I have my beliefs. That's what I ride with. If people bring in more information, my beliefs will change and go with the new information that arises. But like the thought of like, it is exhausting. It
Yeah,
really
it's
is.
tough.
But hey, shout out to her for coming on.
Yeah, just jumping on real quick.
W's to her in the chat for coming on because, you know, it does. I don't think she's doing it to try to get her name out there or trying to make like her, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think
she's
honestly,
declining money to make sure that people know the fact.
and I think I think those two things really did come into play. Like, I think if the Pro Tour did a better job of telling her, hey, this is who we have out here for you. They're going to be with you the entire round. If anything goes on, you can talk to them. Like, I think if they would have taken that step, I don't think she would have done what she did. So I think it was like a combination of all of it.
Yeah. That's what she said. But also we don't know what the other side of the conversation was too. Which, you know what I mean? Like we have her side, which
we got to have Jeff on.
I'm not saying that I don't believe her or that I believe her or whatever. And I'm happy that we got that information, but we don't know what the other side's conversation was like at all.
Yeah, we got to get Jeff on probably next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I do want to talk about this new policy because whether you agree with it or not, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why if you guys hear me on here, I try to do my best to just say Natalie, right? Because I do think there are some people that try to use the misgendering in a way that is
it's
a little
weapon.
Bit it's a nasty way of some people doing it. So yeah, I don't know. Tough, man. Oh, oof. Heavy finish of the podcast. Is that how we're ending this podcast? It's just like that.
Do you have another listener question?
Maybe we'll answer one. Give us one good question in the chat, guys, so we can end on a. Gary says we need another mountain. Yeah, we need a question real quick that we can end on because we can't end on that, man. That's like going to bed after eating a full bowl of mashed potatoes. Mike, pet peeves. There we go. Mike, what pet peeves do you have in disc golf? Thank you. That's a great one.
Oh gosh. Well, I said one earlier today on debate night. Now that there's betting, is people telling me they're bad beats and how close they were to winning. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear when I'm playing poker. I don't want to hear when I'm golfing. When I'm disc golfing. I don't care.
Paul and Austin had this putt on hole 18.
All he had to do
was make a circle one putt.
And then I do a lot of TDing, so I'll give a TD pet peeve. If you see me after the event looking at my computer typing, I'm trying to find out what place you got and how much funny money you got. You don't need to come ask. I will tell you.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
I like that. That's like the people coming up to you asking you how you shot. If you play. Yeah. That's like the TD equivalent. It's like, brother, you're gonna get that information very quickly. All right, well, folks, shout out to Gary, shout out to Abigail jumping on, shout out to Mike for look how far we've come. We're able to grab someone and get them on the podcast like that.
And with the backdrop and then bringing Gary on with those eyes, it's like they match perfectly.
Just wait until Mike gets a new mic. That's going to be an absolute game changer. So, hey, shout out to the chat tonight. If you guys were listening to this live, shout out to all of you guys because, thanks to all our mods for keeping it civil. But I don't even think they had to mod that much. I think everyone in the chat did a pretty good job. And I truly, honestly think this, Yuli. I think the type of person you are and the type of content you put out, that kind of sets the mood. So what we do here, I think that's a testament to what we do here at Tour Life is that our live chat, we don't have a nasty live chat. We don't have a bunch of people. Obviously, we've got some of the, the trolls and stuff. We love the trolls. But I think that's a testament to what we have here with Tour Life and the community that we've built with you guys is because we can have difference of opinions. People can say what they believe and what they don't believe, and they can do it in a way that isn't nasty. And so shout out to all you guys in the chat for doing that. Appreciate each and every one of you. Gavin B. wrestled in college. There you go. What was that? Was that someone asking you, Mike, something about?
Someone asked who would win a wrestling tournament in MPO.
Oh, Gavin. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you all. Thank you for listening to us. And we will be back next week for another Tour Life.